You go. Perfect. Hey, everyone. This is Sean Wood. I'm Chair of the Board of County Commissioners in Clear Creek. This is a special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, but it's also a stakeholder meeting around fire protection. And I'm going to shortly pass the meeting over to our facilitator, Lynette, the police judge in Georgetown. Before I do, I just wanted to express some regret for some conversations that took place in this room at a Board of County Commissioner meeting last Tuesday. This is a conversation that's very important to all of us. We as electeds and other professionals deserve to treat each other with respect and not to allow this conversation to become personal. And it did become personal last Tuesday in a way that I regret, and I think George and Randy would agree with me. So anyway, you have my commitment to not allow myself to go there anymore. With that said, we have an agenda. We also have a candidate as a neutral facilitator, correct, Brian? Who's our facilitator? Oh, right here. Perfect. Do you want to just introduce yourself really quickly? Here? Yeah, sure. And you can join the adult table if you want.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Barch. I work for a company called CDR Associates, and we're a facilitation firm. We've celebrated just recently 45 years in business, so we've done this a little bit. I've worked directly on the I-70 Mountain Corridor on a number of the context-sensitive solutions projects, in particular Lloyd Hill, westbound Peak Period Shoulder Lane, the Eisenhower Joseph Memorial Tunnel hazmat study, and I'm also I live in a small mountain town in Boulder County, town of Jamestown, and I'm on the volunteer fire department. I don't know if that helps or hurts on this one, but I sort of have some understanding about that. And my role in all of the work that I do is as a neutral third party, meaning that I don't take a stake in the specific outcome of the discussion or the problem solving or the negotiation, and that I help to sort of to organize those thoughts and understand the perspectives and to make sure that you use your time well and move it forward. I think that one of the things that I wanted to do, and when I talked with Brian, is just introduce myself to see if I'm acceptable to the group in terms of this important and obviously highly sensitive issue. And so I'm happy to be here. I think my role tonight is just to observe and happy to make any sort of comments at the end, but that's who I am. I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Any questions? Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I mean, if we as a group decide to hire him, he'll be the facilitator at the next meeting, is my understanding.
That's correct.
Okay. With that said, I'll turn it over to you, Lynette.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
If I may, just really quickly, I just want to add to what Sean said. Not going to repeat it. I agree with everything he said. I've been thinking a lot about how to depersonalize this topic, and there's been, I think, some controversial moments. There's been some controversial moments on the Fire Authority Board. There's been some personal conflict, and I want to depersonalize it, and I have a strategy to do so. I really think anytime I identify a personal issue, I'm going to try to figure out what the structural issue is that's driving it. Like, we're here to build a system that we can work well within. I want to think I'm a good person and a nice guy. I think that the people that I've had conflict with, I want to think the same thing of. And I think when you see good people acting poorly, it's time to take a look at the system. And that's what I wanted to share.
Okay. Thank you, George. Okay. Is there anything that anybody wants to add to this agenda before we get rolling?
Yeah, my own comment that I feel the same way as that George and Sean stated. I tried to exemplify that and make it about the issues that we're dealing with and not the people that we're talking to. And I think the more we do that, the more we can build trust and continue to have it maintained. So let's look at the stuff. Let's assume that we're all here to do that.
Okay, thank you, Randy. let's open things up with public comment. Does anybody have any comment, just general public comment? We've got a few people online. We'll give them a chance to raise their hands if they wish to.
If you would like to provide public comment, please raise your hand and I'll make you a panelist.
And I think there's enough chairs here for everyone.
Yes. I was also wondering if maybe we can move that mic a little bit further down just to get the people at the ends of the table. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, here's three people. They could come right up here.
I don't see anybody raising their hands. No.
Yep. You can come up too.
Thank you.
Okay. Nobody's raising hands? Nope. Okay. All right. Seeing none, we will move on to the agenda, which has plenty on it. First off, we're gonna start things off with the governance and taxing options legal review.
That sounds great. I did have a question. I don't know everybody in this room. I know just about everybody in this.
Okay,
Am I the only one who doesn't know everybody?
I'm sure not.
No.
Or not. So
Would it be possible to go around just briefly?
let's go ahead. Why don't we start with you? Please.
Hi, I'm Mike Anderson. I live in Idaho Springs. I'm the Idaho Springs representative on the Clear Creek Fire Authority Board.
George Marlin, County Commissioner, live in Idaho Springs, serve on the Fire Authority Board. Mike knows what he's talking about. He's a firefighter.
Jeanette Peel, interim town administrator for the town of Empire. And then I'm the mayor and I'm also on the former fire.
Jeremy Jones, Assistant Clear Fire Authority.
Chris Fry, Silver Plume Representative, Clear Fire Authority Board.
Rick Doroglian, Town Administrator for Georgetown.
We missed you.
I was gonna get back to him.
Okay.
Okay, never fear.
Okay, it was like,
Okay.
wait, the chief.
Yep.
I'm Beth Luther. I work for Clear Creek County.
Rich Barrows, Board of Selectmen in Georgetown.
Tasia Hart, Assistant Administrator for Georgetown.
I'm Lynette Kelsey, the police judge in Georgetown.
Mary Smith, Board of Selectmen, Georgetown.
Robert Smith, Georgetown candidate for county commissioner, and Mary Smith's executive assistant.
I'm Megan Hyler. I'm the Public Information Officer here at Clear Creek County.
I'm Peter Lichtman. I'm the county attorney for Clear Creek County.
Don Wood, Board of County Commissioner here in Clear Creek, live in Evergreen.
Aaron Crawley, EMS Director, Clear Creek EMS.
Randy Wheelock, County Commissioner, west end of the county, Empire.
Brian Bossart, County Manager.
And let's start with Kelly back there.
Kelly Fabian, Fire Chief. Mark Mills, representing the town of Georgetown, Clear Creek Fire Authority.
Okay,
Still Jonathan Barch with CDR.
Tom Jones, and I'm a volunteer with the fire authority.
hey,
See, best for last. Nate Busick, the chief in Idaho Springs.
thank you. Okay.
Thank you for indulging me on that.
Sure, no problem.
So the first item on the agenda, as police judge said, was the governance and taxing options, the legal review. So I'll start by telling you that I spoke to the attorney representing the fire authority this morning, along with the attorney for the town of Georgetown, as well as the attorney for the city of Idaho Springs. We got on a conference call to go over what's in front of you. There is a handout. You should see it. Starts with the governance structure.
Yep.
Okay, so it's probably easiest. I provided that. So that's an overview essentially of what I'm going to be talking about, but this way you have it in writing and in front of you. So I got together with them with that information that you have in front of you to make sure that the attorneys, at least, taking all the policy out of the room, taking all the politics out of the room and just focusing on the legal aspects, did we have a consensus over a lot of this? And we really did have a consensus. I do want to say I do not speak for them. They speak for you, and you all will be advised by them directly, the individual boards. But it was good to know some of the feedback and the ideas that they had, because I think there has been some confusion out there. So I wanted to address that. To start with, I think you all know, of course, that the IGA that currently exists is formed pursuant to Title 29 of Colorado statutes. It allows municipalities and counties and basically public entities to cooperate on public services, among them being fire suppression, fire protection. Nothing today is representing, hopefully, an opinion. When I state it, it's my legal opinion. It's not a policy preference, as I noted. So first of all, the governance structure. I believe you probably have seen in the Mission CIT report, somewhere I think on pages 83, maybe 83 to 86. I did not memorize all the pages yet. There's a table on there that gave some governance structures, and then it goes into the tax structures and the viability. So I'll just go through those. I will say that the attorneys all seem to be on board that the 3 proposed governance structures are valid governance structures in that they're viable. There does not seem to be another structure that we could come up with. It is questionable whether a county could itself run a fire department. I know of no county that actually runs its own fire department. There are 2 counties that run airport fire departments. But I believe those are organized because they have airports that they have certain ability to do that. So we focus on these 3 that are in front of you. The first one being fire authority. That's our current situation. It requires an intergovernmental agreement. It's got oversight by an appointed board of directors, and it is a separate legal entity. Technically, it's a separate legal entity. And I say technically because pursuant to the IGA, the board of directors is an appointed board of directors by the individual parties. So there is an element of control over what that board does, but it's not really directly taking care of that. It's not addressing it on a integral basis, basically. We're not invested in it. We leave the board for the most part to do what it does, obviously hoping that the appointees are representing the various parties to the best of their abilities. The other type of governance structure that was mentioned was a Title 32 special district. That requires the formation of a special district. To do that, just so you all know, there has to be a service plan submitted. It goes to the jurisdictions for consideration. That process is a review of both the structure, the legalities, the facilitation of creating it, the formation of the physical plant of it, so to speak. That whole process can take somewhere from 6 to 9 months. Then you have a petition for organization. Once that's approved, you have a petition for organization that gets submitted to the court and the district court, and the court is asked to set a hearing. The court has a hearing on the formation, whether the service plan has been approved. There's lots of logistics that way. And sometimes that process can take another 45, 2 days to 2 months. Then the court, assuming it passes all of that, directs that there be an organizational election at the next available election. And along with that organizational election, if it passes, you have an elected board of directors at the same time that are voted for at the same ballot. Now, you'll see on the sheet that I gave you, I think it's virtually impossible to get on a November 24 election because there are a lot of variables that we just don't have control over: the court, how long the service plan takes, all of those things. So I think it's not realistic necessarily to have a Title 32 formed by November. In 2025, since it's an off year, it's an odd number year, you can have the election for a special district in May or November. So I have on there that it's more realistic that you could have it by May of 2025. I think it's definitely realistic that you could have it on a ballot for November 2025. That gives plenty of room. Once it's approved, it goes back to court and the court orders it created. And the board of directors that was elected meets and does all the implementation aspects, determines what a mill rate would be. We'll get into the mill rates and everything in the section. It has an elected board of directors. As I said, it is a completely independent political subdivision. So unlike a fire authority or even under the ESGID model that we'll talk about, there's the municipalities and the county have no control over what that special district does. There is a wild card in the process. I would say realistically, the process, as I indicated, is maybe about a year and a half type of process. That's assuming that it passes. So we have no control over whether or not the ballot initiative will pass, whether it has to go back at the next election, available election, and when you, same process. So sometimes that can take longer, but I would think if there's agreement among the parties and there's enough information put out there to justify it, you know, chances are, I'm sure you all are good at what you're doing, it'll pass. So that would be a Title 32. And then the last one is the countywide ESGID model that we have, that the Mission CIT mentioned. So that would also be a separate legal, the ESGID rather is also a separate legal entity. It's also technically a separate legal entity because of course the Board of County Commissioners also serves as the Board of Directors for the ESGID. The entity is authorized already pursuant to its formation resolution and related documents that it is already authorized to do fire protection. It's actually authorized to do emergency services in general, but fire protection is actually outlined in the resolution. If we went to that model, the ESGID could enter into intergovernmental agreements with each of the municipalities to perform fire protection services. Or another option is that the municipalities could also join the ESGID. That's a different process, but they could become part of ESGID. In the scenario that we have, the county manager would be the director of ESGID. The board of directors of the ESGID would appoint a fire chief, but the county manager would have management authority over that fire chief. And employees would be treated the same as county employees. We'd bring them into our system. Or as I noted in the sheet in front of you, if it's applicable, they'd be treated like other public safety employees if there's a distinction with the way that they're treated in the system. Does anybody have any questions so far?
I have a couple.
Okay.
In which of these is a sales tax the most viable? In any of them, none of them? All of them?
I will get to that in the next section for sure. Any other?
And it's a different answer than last meeting, maybe.
Huh?
That might be a different answer than last meeting.
Yeah, it changes. I'll explain. Anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, help me understand it. On Title 32, 5 jurisdictions approving a service plan.
Mhm.
How does that go if we have like a jurisdiction that doesn't want to approve the service plan and say 3 or 4 other ones do?
Yeah. The determination would be, do you start over fresh with a revised service plan, submit it for consideration, or do you work with that municipality to see? Because remember, it's the boards of each municipality that makes that decision. It's not a voter situation in that case. So.
And then once the service plan is approved, it would be a ballot district-wide, not individual ballot.
That's correct.
And then on this assertion that the BOD would appoint a fire chief, is that a legal requirement? Because what I'm imagining is it would be like the rest of our division directors, which we don't hire. Right?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. The reason it was in there is to put some tangible aspects to the plan for the other attorneys to consider what that would look like. The board doesn't have to appoint the fire chief. Certainly, county manager could hire the fire chief. It all depends on whatever structure that way that you determine, but legally, that would be fine.
And the ESGID board could appoint whoever they want as the director, correct?
Yes. For ease of and efficiency is why we came up with, and by we, I mean myself and kind of as I'm thinking through this, the idea that it would be the county manager because he already manages other departments in the county.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me for now.
Okay.
So would the fire department then be equivalent to another department in the county?
So legally, it would still be a separate entity.
Mhm.
But I think from a practical purpose on the way that it would be governed and handled, managed, I should say, I would say it would be treated like a county department. So the county would because we'd be working its payroll, we'd be managing its employees. They would participate in all leadership team meetings and things of that nature. So it would in effect act as though it was a county department.
Okay.
I think a lot of that is sort of you expressing how it would look,
Mhm.
how one would assume it would look. But that's all sort of subject to our wishes, if this is the
Right.
path that we go.
Right.
Right. So I have a question regarding the fact that the Board of County Commissioners sits as the Board of Directors of the ESGID.
Mhm.
Is that as it's proposed here? Or is that the way it has to be? Because what I'm wondering is if municipalities would choose to join the ESGID and be part of the ESGID, would the Board of Directors necessarily be the Board of County Commissioners in a situation like that?
So, yes. because
Legally, does it have-
Yeah, the statute requires that in the ESGID, that type of district, that the Board of County Commissioners must sit
Okay.
as the Board of Directors. That doesn't mean that there can't be some other type of
Steering group.
that essentially that you all come up with. And what that relationship to the Board of Directors would be again up to what you all determine. But at the end of the day, I don't want you all to think that the Board of Directors is anything other than the Board of County Commissioners, because I think it's fair to say that's what it is.
Well, by law.
By law. And I did discuss that with the other attorneys too, and I think it's just a very practical aspect, no matter what else you come up with, we do want you to realize statutorily, it is that way.
The IGA contemplated, a version of the IGA contemplated, so it said, if a municipality joins the ESGID, they lose their votes on the fire authority board. That's probably not the only reason why. That's not that sounds like an attempt to make a shift to the ESGID permanent. I don't think anybody's really suggesting that. I'm speaking to, would you inverse the IGA or would you guys all just try to get on the ballot and join the ESGID? But I do appreciate what you're doing is you're laying out all of the legal options, right? The good ones, the bad ones.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want you to think I'm expressing an opinion on which one I'm going. That's all up to you. So those
I
are,
have a question too.
sure.
Wouldn't the IGA that would be under the ESGID create its own entity
No,
under the
so.
same thing?
No, so the difference with that, we wouldn't be under Title 29 or something else. It would be a typical intergovernmental agreement where one entity is paying another to provide services. So whether that was with a private company that you contracted with to provide fire protection services, or the municipality contracted with the ESGID to do that, it would be the same thing. So it's a lot simpler in terms of that type of IGA. Okay,
So one last question,
sure.
maybe not the last. So operationally, under the countywide ESGID,
Mm-hmm.
would you be, not you, would the fire department be recognized similar to the sheriff's office in that type of?
So again, and this is where lawyers lose the room usually, because from a legal perspective, no, it wouldn't, because the sheriff is a statutory office created specifically as an entity of county government, the way it's created. Whereas an ESGID, while it is something that counties put together and, that it creates a general improvement district and it is a separate political entity, it's not quite the same as electing an elected official for the county, but it would be essentially treated the same way.
Can I add to that? So
Yeah.
operationally, it would be treated just like any other division in the
Road and Bridge.
county.
Can you just?
Exception of the sheriff's office.
That might be a good example.
What?
I mean, EMS is a,
Oh, so that's the next part of my question. So go ahead, thanks.
I was just gonna say EMS is one of the divisions,
Okay.
within the county. It's a direct report to me. It sits at our leadership team table, participates in all those major decisions that get made internally in terms of how we operate the organization, and fire department would be at that table.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Peter, but basically, when you look at the sheriff, you're looking at somebody who's an equal and separate elected official and separate in almost all other ways other than budgeting and stuff like that, where they're funded through the general fund. But in this model, in an ESGID with the county commission sitting as legally has to statutorily as the board of directors of the ESGID, then they hire a fire chief. So the fire chief doesn't have the same level of autonomy that the sheriff has, because the sheriff is an elected official that sits completely separate politically.
Thanks.
See, I didn't even need to be here.
But we're.
Did I say that right?
You appreciate me showing.
Comment.
That's good. Okay.
Before you go on, do we have any questions from particularly the Idaho Springs folks that are on the online?
No, Lynette, but thank you for asking.
Okay, thanks.
I promoted the Idaho Springs people to panelists. so
Okay.
They can just talk if they want to.
Good. Okay,
Okay.
all right, thanks.
So I'll move on to the taxing and revenue aspect of the discussion. So as you know, none of the proposed governance structures will change the way that we currently have a structure with the IGA now, which is that the revenue comes through mill levy. None of the new structures change that because none of those entities technically yet can have their own sales tax. So what we look at is, okay, if indeed there is this revenue issue that leads to whether or not we can sustain the fire authority long-term and stuff, we obviously are looking for other issues. So Mission CIT looked at that and they took those governance structures and kind of laid out what they believed to be those taxing structures. So fire authority, no matter what form we put it in, if we revise the IGA, it's still only allowed to collect revenue through mill levies. The parties could amend the IGA to include some sort of general fund dollar contributions by the parties to the fire authority. It would be, for municipalities, it is a lot easier. You don't have nearly the restrictions. The county can only act with the authority it's given by law. But it seems reasonable, and it doesn't seem like there's an express prohibition for any of the parties to direct some sales tax. I believe in one of the meetings I was asked whether or not we could just have a sales tax go to the fire authority, and my answer was no. And the truth is that I'm on the fence as to whether general fund sales tax, the kind the county collects, whether we could contribute it. And the reason I say that is because the legislature has created a public safety tax that counties may adopt that does allow for that tax, which is also a sales tax, to go towards public safety. And in the case of the county, it could go towards the fire authority. It could go towards the ESGID if indeed we had a public safety tax. In discussing it with the other attorneys today, and primarily with Bob doesn't even feel that there's that restriction, but reasonable attorneys may disagree. And it's not that I'm saying Bob's view is wrong at all. I'm definitely not. What I'm saying is that I'm not as firm or committed to that view. Whereas I feel much more comfortable as an attorney were my board to ask me to suggest that a public safety tax, that is not a question. So putting that out there, you have an excellent attorney with the CCFA. The attorneys for the municipalities are also great attorneys. So I think we all agreed that there was a way to get that done. I just don't know how from the county perspective we'd necessarily achieve it, but it's definitely something that could be achieved. And a legal issue, another thing that I would also mention about the structure, the taxing and revenue structure, is that a fire authority can't propose its own ballot initiative. So if they wanted to, for example, raise the mill rate or something, they can't do a certain ballot. They can't seek anything that we as the parties could go to the voters for. Does that make sense? So that's that as far as fire authority. On Title 32, right now, again, yeah.
On the fire authority.
Sure.
Help me and us wrap our heads around a public safety tax would need to be countywide, as in inclusive of the municipalities.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
And also
Yes.
Evergreen Fire District.
And also Evergreen Fire District. ESD could do a mill levy on just the unincorporated fire authority, fire protection district, right? And then the municipalities could piece together 5 ballot measures. The only way to get a sales tax on the unincorporated portion to help pay for this is to do a countywide sales tax, correct?
Yes,
As in, that shows up on the municipalities' ballots.
yes.
And if we were to propose it, that sales tax could be proposed by the 3 of us, correct? Obviously,
Yes.
we know that our sales tax measures don't do well when the mayors and the municipalities propose them. But for legal.
That's correct. For you to have that on a ballot, it would be the board that would make that determination.
The only con-
Similar to when we did the road and bridge, where in working, I think with the municipalities, it was understood we would be giving 25% back on that revenue to kind of account for that. Sorry.
maybe I'm stealing your thunder, but there's a bill in the legislature that I think has a good chance of being passed. It has the support of the governor, and it's bipartisan, that it essentially allows for Title 32 districts to assess sales tax. And that, I believe, would allow for creation of a boundary of just the served and not essentially double taxing every fire protection district to allow sales tax to offset some of the costs.
Right, so when we get to Title 32, because you totally stole my thunder.
Well, I'm the one who told you about it.
Yeah,
so-
that's true. That is true. Yeah.
For the record, Kelly was telling us about it.
So actually Sean properly led me into the next revenue structure. Under Title 32, it would have its own mill levy. The board of the Title 32, the elected board of Title 32 would determine what that is and get that measure out there to assess that. But as Sean was saying, there is a bill out there that may allow that Title 32 district without the approval of a board of the county commissioner or any of the municipalities to collect a sales tax and determine what that sales tax would be. And from what I understand, did you just say in terms of possible support from any people in the government? I didn't know if you were talking about.
Dylan Roberts, who is your state senator, Senate District 8, is the sponsor, and he expressed that it had the support of the governor's office, which is a big deal, and it had bipartisan support.
So in that instance, that's how that potential revenue structure should be. I should note, I was discussing with the attorneys that I do not feel that there would be any legitimate reason or basis that candidly either municipalities or the county could donate or contribute towards the funds of the Title 32. But Bob actually raised a good point, which was, well, you could enter into an agreement with them for fire protection services and then pay them for that. Now, the reality is, why would we do that if we're already in the special district? But that would be the only way around it. And I can't imagine any of the municipalities or the county would actually do that. That doesn't make sense. Otherwise, what's the whole purpose of the Title 32?
No, and part of the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm just trying to understand how this structure can get more complicated or less complicated as we all get things onto the ballot.
Right. Yeah.
And less complicated is definitely a goal.
And then finally, the ESGID, it would maintain its own mill levy that it has, have additional funding through the county, through general fund contributions, which would probably again be the same situation where we determine whether or not we're comfortable with just using general fund from a general sales tax, or would we want to pass a public safety tax to fund it as well. And the municipalities would essentially, through the IGA, Mike, they would be just, we'd enter IGAs and we'd provide fire protection services, and the municipalities would pay the ESGID.
Yeah.
And Randy, did you have any follow-up questions?
I was just thinking, we have anticipated the need to have both sales tax, potentially sales tax and mill levy to depending on what we arrive at as our ultimate goal and ultimate need. And so that's what I wanted to know, if there are any, which of these is it harder to have a sales tax contribute?
Well, right now, Title 32, you cannot.
That's what I understand. I just wanted to say that clear. The other two are.
The other two, I feel that they're in the same exact position when it comes to contributing essentially.
But you
So
could
it's
create,
funds from
that
sales
contribution
tax.
could come from a
Yeah.
special tax that you,
Yep.
that you passed for that purpose.
Are there any other ESGIDs that have passed that public safety tax already?
So there's only 3 counties that have passed that tax. Delta County and I forget, there's a second one, but both of those do not divert any of their money to fire protection. They give it to the sheriffs, EMS, things like that, but not to fire.
Not to-
But Mesa County is the only county where it actually does divert a portion of its public safety tax to its fire rescue authority, its fire authority. And a host of other things, including its sheriff department and places like that. So it does do that though.
Okay,
And that was passed in 2018. They had a resolution. So it certainly is viable.
okay.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it's ultimately a board of, if, from the county's perspective with my advice, it's ultimately whether the board makes a determination that they're comfortable with the general sales tax as opposed to going through with a public safety sales tax. I can give them the advice, they can weigh the risks and analysis and potential liabilities and to make it their policy decision. So I don't think that the idea of whether it's a general sales tax that we have or a public safety would be the hang up for
And when
us.
you're talking about a general sales tax, you're talking about a new dedicated general sales tax, is that correct?
Or what we currently have, if we needed to raise sales tax, that would be fine, or we could. But if that were the instance, I would say if you're doing that, you may as well, but actually, that's just a policy decision. Because,
That's what I was getting.
yeah,
I want to know the options.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I have no more in my presentation, but definitely will entertain more questions.
It's curious to me that you can form a fire authority, but then they're stuck with whatever they originally asked for.
Well, the parties, you mean in terms of the mill levy or
Mill
something?
levy.
The
Yeah,
IGA can be renegotiated. If the parties agree to renegotiate and address those terms, they certainly can. So that, you know, I could see, I don't know how that would come about. Would that be the board of directors of the fire authority reaching out saying, we need more money? And then it would have to be up to the parties to decide how they would coordinate that.
There's no way to write an IGA where the board of the board of the fire authority could get a tax proposal on the ballot, right?
No, there's.
bizarre.
And the only reason is that way is because that entity that's created is simply a creature of the parties that created it through an agreement. So you still
Okay.
ultimately have the control. And you have that ability to seek that mill levy increase. But that entity does not. It's limited by law.
So each of the towns and the county could individually go about asking for a mill levy increase.
Yes. And if my memory serves me correct, in the current IGA, some of the municipalities, I thought, did reserve the ability to go to a higher mill. Without necessarily committing at that time, but they left themselves the room. So, and comes down to whether that party decides that's how they want to do it.
Okay. Okay, any other, do you have anybody?
I want to call Jeanette out only because I've seen her look and I really would love to know her
Okay.
thoughts and
Okay.
the mayor's thoughts on it.
Sure.
I'm trying to take it all in. It sounds like staying fire authority and doing ESGID, they're very similar. So I'm trying to pick out all the information because I feel like we've been going down the path of we should switch because one is better. And I'm trying to sort through all the facts. It sounds like they're pretty equal, so there may be other considerations on what makes one better over the other. But it does sound like both of them are viable, so I'm not seeing a favorite went out yet. So that's what I'm trying to.
Then I did my job well,
Okay.
because I wanted to be clear. This is the objective viewpoints. It's now all to you.
Yeah, and that's helpful because it seems like everything has come in a flood, all of the information together, so. This is very valuable to separate it out very specifically, because that's what we need to be able to say, let's look at this one separately and this issue separately, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
And that's helpful, so thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Wonderful. All right. If nobody has any more questions on that particular topic, then we should move on. Okay. Fire Authority operational response to mission CIT report findings. Are we looking to you, Jeremy?
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So I sent it out via PDF Friday, hopefully we got the PDF version. With all the recommendations, within the study. Consolidated those recommendations, same we did in 14 with these. And broke them down into, essentially 5 categories, but I didn't use all of them. If you read that, completed recommendations. Stuff this is currently in process. And it's kind of what we didn't do stuff. I'm gonna see my good. Basically, then it's timeframe. We need to do in a set timeframe. So we need 3 to 6 months to complete, which is a lot of stuff built in the process. There's no particular order which they were put in this as they were pulled. I went through the study. I broke every recommendation of the study out into a single file, and then I prioritized those. So as I went section by section, the ones went to the, the immediate need went to immediate need and vice versa. So that's other category. There's no. This one's more important than this one because I think there's a widget involved. It's purely a list of how they were presented in the 136 pages. How they broke out. So immediate need, 3 to 6 months to complete. This doesn't mean that these thou shalt be done in 3 to 6 months. It just means that we need to focus, my opinion only. This is where we need to focus when we're going through this process for an operational improvement. A lot of stuff is pretty self-explanatory. Things are either already on the edge of starting or we'll do as we go through the process. Intermediate need is 6 to 18 months. That's a little longer. That's the stuff that starts after we figure out what the governance is, what the funding is, all the stuff that you guys are working through right now. Same thing, it's just listed out by group, no particular orders, however, it's in the study. Last one is general need 18 to 48 months. Everything else got put in that category. I didn't exclude anything. So if it's in the study as a recommendation, it's in one of these categories. If you guys as a collective group choose to exclude something, that's fine. That's within your authority to do so. I just put them in the categories of how I think they should be implemented and when. And there is some stuff in there that may get excluded, but I want to at least have the discussion on all the recommendations. What I didn't want to do is go through in my little bubble of my office and exclude 45 things just because I thought it was a good idea on a Monday morning. And then kind of come back full circle. Oh man, we probably should talk about it. So everything's in here. I think we should discuss all of them at some point over the next essentially 48 months of fun. But this is how we did the previous study. I went from about 15 pages of recommendations, I think, down to less than a page now on my desk. There's some like to items that are still available from the last study that we're working with. So it makes a workable document for myself at least. The other thing we talked about was staffing, kind of the as presented staffing within the study, which is the last pages. That was as it was presented. Not, again, we brought this up before. There are some anomalies within the as presented. Technically, line 2 is where we were at the time of the study. I think we talked about that. So at four volunteers per shift, we've had 4 volunteers per shift for going back to 2014 roughly. So that's where we were at the time of the study. We've, as of March 1st, the add 60 career staff, they went online March 1st. So as we sit today, as a group, we are on line 3 on what's in the study, if that helps. The rest of it is within the recommendations. There's one mistake on the add career shift captain would actually change it from 6 to 7. And then the bottom one would be 7, would remain 7. And there's a couple anomalies, but I didn't catch it in the review. I don't think I might have, but. So that's as presented. And then the next page is as the consultants presented the staffing structure. And I have no idea what the one that I sent out turned into this goofy thing when I changed it to a PDF. So I don't
Format.
figure that out because
Mhm.
I converted it and I didn't look at it. I freely admit that. I was tired. Got back from Wing 2 in the morning. So the 2024 to 2029 as presented, as everybody knows, they project a $1.3 million cost increase over that 5 years. Which is actually a little low. We did some numbers today. There's like the captain, for example, fiscal year 2028, that's actually 135,000. Not counting uniforms. If you had uniforms, it was 140 uniforms equivalent. So there's some little anomalies. Because we made the decision to, in a study, to say this includes uniforms and PPE and all that stuff, right now to outfit of individuals about $5,000. In wildland PPE, tech gen, turnout gear, turnouts alone about $3,500. Just all by themselves standalone. So it's a pretty substantial cost. It doesn't mean we incur that cost every time. We have to incur it within that budget year. Every time we bring something on, we don't. We've got inventory of that to avoid that we bought at a lower cost. So we aren't incurring a $5,000 cost the day the employee starts, but we might incur a portion of that as far as how we budget. So it leads us into the last 2 pages. Again, this changes things as mine's got an anomaly on it. So basically, we're on line 3. We added the crew staff. My suggestion, in my opinion, from an operational perspective, is we don't add a 3rd captain. I think it's $140,000 investment that doesn't. Now, there's the basis in the study is probably completely legit if you base it off of. You want additional supervision for a structure fire, makes sense. If you look at the data as the agency, you're basing $140,000 investment off of 3% of your.
Okay.
Not sure how that's the best financial use of our staffing model. The other transition was adding a captain, put the captains on a 4896. Actually, I lose capacity with my 2 existing captains with what they do on a daily basis. So I have 1 captain currently that manages the Red Rocks Academy, which we're actually about to renew the contract on. Should be a 3-year contract. I manage all of our training requirements, which are extensive because manages how they both co-manage our certification process, which is another festive nightmare sometimes when you're scheduling tests and renewals and JPRs and make sure everybody maintains all their certs and gets the next certs. Dan Noel, for example, does all our special operations. So he works with Alpine Rescue. He works with EMS on all the backcountry stuff we do. He manages the wildland operational stuff. That he's my assistant for that. He manages the mid crew. Once I put them on a 4896, then I'm spreading that capacity to all of them, or I'm losing somewhere. I'm going to lose capacity. Dan also works with the school safety board committee. Is what Dan does, and he does. He's currently assisting in the fire marshal role, and he's working on finalizing his investigator certification process, which is 18 months of fun that I don't think he wants to do twice, but he's coming into that. I don't want to lose that capability by putting the captains on a 4896 for legitimately what is a 3% of our call load situation. And that's actually, if you look at the structure fires and stuff I handed out, that's 2019 until today. It's one big.
Those 3% are a specific time frame from like
Average structure fires per year. Versus total call load. So what I'm looking at from a management perspective is how do I get the best bang for every hour of employee time that we pay? So the shift that I recommended was, we still think having a captain on shift is a key part of managing shifts across the county. We currently have one captain who is managing that, still on a 4896, but he manages PTO and just the day-to-day, take a lot of the day-to-day stuff. It's amazing how when you have 3 different shifts, how they don't like each other depending on day of the week. It's funny. It's trivial. They look like trash bags. Like, who restocked the trash bags? Is that really an issue? Apparently it is. It's that role. He does all that, along with managing their day-to-day response priorities and tweaking that accordingly. So my suggestion, purely my suggestion from an operational perspective, is instead of adding an extra captain and making all of my existing captains work at 4896, I keep them, those 2 individuals in their existing roles doing what they're doing. And I shift the lieutenant who runs out of Idaho Springs. That's where our current captain's running. I shift the other 2 lieutenants up to captain, which is a promotion. And that's a $50,000 investment versus a $140,000 investment. I don't believe I lose any capability by doing that shift, but I do save some money. Totally support to convert the wildland position to full-time. I don't support converting all 4. I would like to see a conversion of 2. The supervisor becomes a year-round employee, and then whoever the lead is, which is similar to Evergreen has gone to. Their model works very well in Boulder County, does the same thing. Boulder Sheriff's Department has a small group of full-time sheriff's office employees and a seasonal influx. Boulder County does exactly the same thing. So my counterparts who I've been talking to all agree that's a better model and it saves you money. And you hire seasonal. So we hire right now 26 weeks, about 6 months. We do not pay FPPA for our seasonals. We don't pay benefits for them. We're just like everybody else. It's a work your 6 months, and if you get deployed in some overtime, awesome. If you don't, I'm sorry, but we guarantee that, you know what you're gonna make at a baseline, and it works. So that would be an additional savings. And it would still add in the off season, add 2 additional FTEs to handle the other stuff that we're in the middle of. Writing mitigation implementation plans, as much fun as I enjoy writing all of them, that's why we're training other staff to do something. And that's a process. It's about a 13 to 14-month process to get certified and do the classroom portion and then get the accreditation so they can write these. But that's what we're currently working on. So conservatively, when you look at that, the last page is that's $158,000 savings. One thing I do support having a fire marshal. I think the battalion chief rank is an arbitrary thing. I don't think that's necessary. I think essentially we're hiring a fire inspector. And we're hoping you hire a fire inspector who is accredited as an investigator. That's a win. And I think we've got some leeway in what that position truly costs and where they fit within the structure. I'm not sold on having them be a chief rank as a standalone individual. I'm not sure how that would work with the operational structure in a positive way. And then logistics equipment coordinator is a novel idea. Well, I'll ask Aaron, how do you manage your ambulance fleet as far as getting them down for maintenance?
A mixture between myself and one of my captains that's specifically on Tuesday, Wednesday during the middle of the week, so we can.
Does that work?
It does work. It would be better. No, that's okay. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a diesel mechanic in the county with specific experience working on ambulances. And so it's a huge burden for us to have all of our maintenance done out of the county. But the way we do it now works as good as it ever has.
We do the same thing. So I manage along one of my captains. Which works. So that'd be $102,000 that I think you could spend elsewhere. In a risk reduction capacity, or there's a whole myriad of projects that when you reduce the amount of money you spend on staff, as an organization, you have additional funds to fund cisterns or whatever that is within the community that brings a better return on investment and a better risk reduction. So these are purely just my ideas, and over a short period of time, we had about a week to get this done before I had to leave. For a while on Academy last week and do some other stuff, so we'll continue to refine this. I asked the group, just look this over. If you think that I put something in the immediate category that shouldn't be there, let's talk about it. We'll figure out where it should land. Because ultimately, whatever this is, we take I think it's 100 recommendations, I think it's a little more of it. We take the 100 recommendations within the study, and go through each of them, we figure out how we implement them, or if we implement them, whatever that looks like. So if you think something's not that as important as maybe I put it, or is more important, either way, let's talk about that. And I can jockey within that list very quickly. Because at the end of the day, we need to have consensus as a group, as we measure the stakeholders of the organization. So I need consensus with you guys as a group that you think that the priorities are set is something you can back. Because at the end, when we get into the operational thing as an organization, we're going to work off that priority list as set. And start making every attempt to make those changes or see what that looks like. And that's what we do the studies. That's my intent for this study from the operational perspective.
I had one comment, and it's about, I guess, what I would call a philosophical distinction that you made about de-emphasizing the 3%. I don't know that I've ever heard someone do that before, in a fire department, de-emphasizing the fire part of the fire department.
Yeah.
And those, I think, are the most dangerous, consequential part of your mission. And I don't see how you can not look at that straight in the face and try and solve that problem. And I'm talking specifically, I mean, I always talk about the 96 hotel fire in Evergreen.
I agree.
That took dozens of people to put out.
But I think where you're coming from here, you're assuming there's a fire problem. As in our response to structured fires is an issue. Is that a safe assumption?
I don't know whether you have a problem or not, but I know when I see numbers like 7 people showing up at a structured fire, I realize that's not enough to have 4 hose teams providing exposure protection or enough for a commercial response.
I agree, and I think the study shows the average is 9, and actually it's higher than that. With the numbers, that's increasing. So it's not 7, it's 9 in the study, but no, I'm not discounting fire. Let's thank you for bringing it up. Let's go full circle on this. I think that 3% of our calls that involve structured fire are hugely critical. But I think we have a bad habit as a fire department. This is my opinion. Of course, through experience and a ton of education, that we focus on that 3% really heavy. And we don't focus on the other hazards that we're faced. And if you look at the other hazards that we face as an organization and hazard within the community, if you look in your study, 19 to there's 184 hazmat spills. I have more hazmat releases within my time period than I do structured fires. So do I focus on structured fires, which is traditionally what fire departments do? Or do I shift a little of my focus to continue to put hazmat techs online? I think I shift to put more hazmat techs online because it shows me that's pretty high risk to both people and the environment. Do I make sure we're really, really good at EMS? Because our sudden cardiac arrest events are through the roof. I think we're very good at EMS, and they train every Saturday. And when he gets to his presentation, you'll see the numbers. The numbers show that that's the correct action within our community from a risk perspective. So I'm not discounting one particular risk. What I am trying to do is from a risk reduction perspective is focus on all the risks and really, really good at what the data shows us. And if the data shows me that I've got over 234, I think, vehicle fires, I better be really good at vehicle fires. Or then I have 234 vehicle wildland fires, and I have structures that I have cascading problem. So we focus on everything equally. From a certification perspective, I don't have any paid staff. I might have one or two paid staff actually current that are under fire too. Right? I don't have any paid staff, and I have very few volunteer staff that aren't Red Guard. So it's not a discount of the 3%. I think we need to not tunnel in on 3% of our calls, the structure calls. If you look at a sheet of paper, those are the structure fires missing one, which I'm currently working on, so it's under investigation. That's the structure fires from 19 until essentially today, -1. It's on a single sheet of paper. If we look at all the other stuff that we've got on that sheet of paper on the responses, we have a substantial risk to our community that goes way beyond a structure fire problem.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing. I mean, Evergreen was lucky up until 1996, but until the last time downtown burned down completely, which I think was in the beginning of the last century.
Yeah, something like that.
So, I mean, their luck ran out, and I think eventually our luck's gonna run out too. I think Evergreen's wildfire luck is gonna run out, and even though Evergreen has a lot of resources and hand crews and engine bosses, if the right fire starts at the wrong time, Evergreen's gonna burn up, and there's nothing you can do about it. But so, I mean, I think you have an interesting point about how far do you protect, how much of your resources deploy and where. And I always kind of think about the front page lens, right? Like, if a little wildfire does wipe out one of our towns, people are gonna be looking for someone to blame. And they're gonna be reading these meetings and talking about things about where we placed our priorities. And that keeps me up at night.
And I totally agree with you. I don't think my priorities have been misplaced personally. I think I have a track record in the last 4 years that's before you that shows my priorities haven't been misplaced. I think we've been focusing on the appropriate thing. I've been training on the appropriate stuff. It doesn't mean we're very good at structure fires. Very good at it. And that's not because we're lucky. And I'll be perfectly frank here, and this is great, it's on. The days of going, man, I got my fire 1 and fire 2 at best. I am good for my career are over in the fire service. They're completely over. 90% of the volunteer fire departments in the US, that's what they do. Man, they're certified, they're good. No, they're not good at all. Are you studying the fire dynamics? Are you continuing to teach that? Are you doing live fire on a frequent basis? Are you all the stuff you've got to do to meet the standards and maintain the standards? We're doing all of those plus some, which doesn't translate to luck on a structure fire. It translates to proper tactics, properly applied, the right amount of people. It's not a personnel issue on structure fires. It is a personnel issue, your tactics are wrong, keep throwing people at it. You got a 50-50 shot, you're gonna get lucky. If your people are well trained and your tactics are correct and are properly applied, it's not a luck thing anymore. It's an understanding of what you're facing, how it works, what the dynamics are, that environment, and effectively going to work. And that's a shift. That's a shift within my career. That's a shift across the US. It's a shift in how we teach academy now. So all of this has changed.
I want to add to this, because I agree with everything you said. I would add a couple of things to that right? It's if there's enough people and they're adequately supervised, right? And I think the report, the problem the report identifies is that we don't have captain level supervision ready to supervise a structure fire at all times.
I totally agree with that.
And I know I'll share from the fire authority board meeting when we were discussing this. One of the points that was made was that one of you or Kelly is always here, right? And so if the response to the report is supervision is adequate because the chief and the assistant chief fill in that role, then like, let's have that conversation. But the thing that we're talking around and not talking about as you guys are going back and forth is you're not like failing to adequately emphasize the fires. What you're doing is you're and have been in a system that's trying to get this done at 4.5 mils for a really long time and making really hard choices. What I hope we're trying to do here is design a system that can be good at the hazmat, have enough people that are adequately supervised on the house fire, and all of that, right? And so I don't know if that helps this exchange. I don't think Sean was trying to say that.
No, I agree. If
You are
you look
doing
at what I
that job.
said, though, I said I'd like to put a captain on shift in Idaho Springs to have a higher level of management. I never said we don't need that. My perspective, though, is I don't want to lose my 2 existing captains with what they're currently doing, the work they're getting done in the community. I don't want to lose the capability just to add a shift captain. Now, if you guys can come up with a way that I can have a shift captain that's not riding on an engine and still maintain my 2 existing captains, I am totally on board with that discussion. But that's a lot more money than the 1.3 that we're talking about in the study. So I still feel like I have to make some compromise between what I really want to have and what we can afford, even through this process with the mills and what we can get past and all that. I want way more people than I have that's even in this. But unless there's an adequate way that you guys come up with, we can get that. I'm gonna look where I can save money here to fund other risk reductions within the community.
I think you're kind of confusing 2 conversations, because I think conversation number 1, which I totally agree with, is what does this community need and what do they deserve? And the price of that is whatever the price of it is, right? And then you make your compromises from there.
Right.
And George is exactly right. I wasn't saying that you guys are lucky. That you, the fire department's lucky. I'm saying we as a community are lucky that we haven't had a major event like that. We haven't had a Hayman fire that's happened inside of our fire districts. And last thing I'll say about the Hotel Fire 96, I don't know if that fire gets put out now based on the diminished response that all the volunteer systems have in the Front Range.
Right.
But I'm sure yeah.
I agree. That's always what it, right? So I don't want to mention, my point is the study specifically says add a captain and put your captains on a 4896. So no matter how I read the study, that means that I lose my 2 captains working the dedicated 40-hour week with 6 days of the week to a rolling 4896. No matter how I do that, I lose capability over those 2 positions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of, from my perspective, that's a problem. And if the recommendation when you read the study is based off of guaranteeing a captain for the structure fire, totally agree with that. Love to do it. But I don't want to compromise the risk reduction that we get from those 2 positions just for the what if for the 3% on the structure fire. The return isn't there compared to what I lose from a risk reduction within the community, which is wildland fire risk, inspecting downtown, working with business owners, tree plans, all of that stuff gets better. It's more important to me than losing those positions. And that's what I'm basing it off of. When you read the study, the logic is 4896 extra captain. Which means there's nothing in there that says you will replace or keep the existing positions. It says we'll transition those 2 existing positions to a 4896. That's where I had when you look at that perspective, that's an issue. There's a capability loss that would be detrimental to the community. So I started looking for alternatives to meet the end goal without losing the capability.
I do hear those different conversations going on though, and I agree with that, that what I'm hearing you say, what I'm hearing Sean say is that the community's been lucky because we have, as a community, undercapitalized ourselves, therefore under-resourced ourselves, which means understaffed ourselves. So it doesn't mean the staff that's here is performing at a level that's as good as they can be. But should we be trying to fine tune a strategy of scarcity? Or should we be trying to move beyond scarcity and change our expectations of what we can do? And so I do think that it would help to be able to imagine that maybe that we have gotten lucky and maybe we should prepare to be, we have gotten lucky not because you're just lucky and you're not good, because there's only so many of you to go around. Maybe we rethink that paradigm. It's, we come up with a different level of response.
I totally support that.
Okay.
Maybe what makes sense to me is if we're gonna continue talking about this. If you can describe the alternative approach to covering up that shortcoming that was identified. I think that would be a great. I hope, like, this might be a good moment for the room to like do some nodding. I think what we should be asking of you is what's a system that meets our needs? And if we do all that math and we find out that that's not a system we can afford, we can start talking about how to cut. Does anybody disagree with that?
Not in principle. I think I now understand where Jeremy and his response are coming from. It's taking the recommendation that was given to all of us and strategizing, since we can't afford everything that was suggested in that report, how are we going to make this work? Here's what I propose. And so I'm understanding it better and better. But yeah, if, as long as we understand that what we want and would wish we had, if there were no limitations on money, yes, this is what we want. And we look at ways that we might be able to get there versus what we end up with in reality, and how do we make that work? And those two could be pretty far apart, or maybe not. I don't know. So, but anybody else? Comments? Questions?
I would like to say something. I think we
Thanks.
need to put some reality. You can't get the fire department you want. There's no way we can afford it, because that's like you'd like 20 people, 24/7, within 5 minutes of each structure fire. Because it's honest, it's basically what you see in a urban or a suburban environment, where you have 4-person engine crews. You've got 5 engine crews and a truck company coming on. And we do that because we have the ability to do that. Now, we can argue that we do that because it's safe. We have a 3-deep model where we have a person inside, we have a crew outside just on that same task, and we have a backup crew to that secondary crew. That would be the ideal way, because it is the safest way in America to do that for Clear Creek County and Front Range, small counties, rural areas. That's more employees than you currently have in the county. So I think you're already, if he was to say, I want the best of the best for the rest of the people, that's what that is. And that's just not realistic. I think this study tried to blend the national standards, which is kind of a watered down version of what everybody wants. And that's still very high, because they want to encourage municipalities and places to fund fire department to make it safer, as a general rule. So I think we're already starting. We don't need to start with what do you want?
Okay.
And then work back from there, because it is out of the moonscape. I think these numbers that we're tossing around, 7s, 8s, are pretty natural. Rural area, small place like this, numbers that are pretty solid for, if you can guarantee 7 people, that's pretty good for our size system, what's realistic for us.
Okay.
And on top of that, how fast they get there, which is one of those national standards that they're always talking about, is based on a grid system, that it's flat and it's not snowing and it doesn't have mountains, doesn't have drive times of 45 minutes. So it's kind of hard to compare those and we're going to strive for that. It's just those types of things aren't going to happen within a sane budget. So I think we're already, like I said, talking, and these numbers, I feel, from my experiences, would be pretty solid.
Okay.
Pretty solid goal for us, because I know that's more expensive, and I understand your two conversations about that. I think Jeremy was like, maybe I'm rehashing, but trying to fit into this study. Of course, if I'm the fire chief, I would want more people. That's always the answer. Yeah, like, yeah, I would like the backup guy, just in case that guy gets sick, you know. But I think it's well within the ask to say we want an on-shift captain fly car SUV guy 24/7, just like the firefighters on the engines. That's a normal model for firefighting. It's not outlandish. So of
Okay.
course, price goes up, right?
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Anybody online? Okay.
No one's raising their hand. Nope.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Next we have open discussion about the report findings. Anybody have anything they want to share?
Does it make sense for us to wrap up the presentation or play with the chair? There.
What do you mean?
Like, should we skip to hearing from Brian and then hearing from Aaron, or?
That this item was added for folks to raise anything
Yeah.
outside of the report that they may want to ask a question about. That's why it's there. And if they're not there, then
If not, we'll just move on.
I had one thing that I observed, and I heard loud and clear from this room a desire to look at the original IGA that expires at the 31st, and reading that IGA and then reading this report, I came up with a little bit of a conflict. And I'm just going to express it, and then people can respond to me if they want to, or they can think about it. But I think we all agree that some level of equitable representation is generally what you're looking for in any type of a political body or any type of a partnership. And when I looked at page 5 of the report, there's a table 1.1 that shows localities, square mileage, and population. Megan might be showing that on the screen. But I'm almost sure every portion of our county, and I think your website's wrong because you say 9,500 people in the district. There's 9,500 in the county, but I think there's only roughly 6,500 in the fire authority district. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's weird. I'll check that one correctly.
Yeah. So if I took 6,500 people who are basically being provided fire protection and divided by the 8 seats on the fire authority, I end up with 832 people per seat. And the ESD non-municipalities are actually almost 50%, 3,048 people of the 6,500. And they're only represented with 2 votes. And on the other hand, you have Empire of 345, which is about 5% of the population. Silver Plume at 207, 3% of the population. So there's 8% of the population with 25% of the votes on our political body. Ironically, the only one that's pretty close to being equitable is Idaho Springs. There's 1,782, which is a little bit more than 2 times that 832. And then in Georgetown, there's 17% of the population and they have 25% of the votes. So whatever model we take on next, I think needs to better represent the people that it serves. And another data point is on page 35, I believe. And that essentially shows the call responses, and it's eerily similar. If you look at table 1.9, the ESD call responses, it goes anywhere from 45 to 55%, roughly half. And I believe that the there are some calls that are coded to Georgetown and Empire that actually, or I'm sorry, Idaho Springs that actually happen outside of their districts, inside of the unincorporated areas. But the other numbers are kind of similar. So anyway, when I think about what we do going forward, if that's a fire authority, I think we need to put our thinking caps on and find a model that's more fair.
Okay. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I agree. That's one of the biggest issues we've always had is with ESD, you know, you've always had a commissioner, you've got one party at large. Depending where they come from historically, it's kind of in Floyd Hill for some reason. Yeah, we have there's a huge lack of representation on the current board for the outlying areas, and it's 45 and low, and then like 51% of the call load alone is within the ESD. So that would be one of the solutions, no matter what this looks like. But that's when you get into that though, is if you go to a county fire department, that goes away, right? And now it's down to 3 individuals. So that's actually against what we're shooting for. But whatever it looks like, it needs to be considered, because that's always been one of my issues, even as a volunteer with an organization, is how do you represent with 2 individuals that huge population that are geographically diverse? They have different reasons. They have different concerns. It's pretty drastic as I go to different parts of the district, talk to different HOAs. That even the concern from HOA to HOA is like sometimes night and day different, just because of where they're at and what they're doing. That doesn't make it to the board, especially when we have a position that's been open for how long? About a year. About a year since Steve retired, so that makes it even more of a disparity that now being represented by one individual who's supposed to shuttle around and get all their feelings and concerns and bring it to the board. Well, that's nearly impossible. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. My only thought on that was, I'm just thinking back historically, I wasn't nearly as involved back then when it was developed. I watched it happening from much further away, but my theory on it is that it may have boiled down to who had contributing resources and how much, because Georgetown and Idaho Springs had very active fire departments and good supply of equipment. The county had, if I'm not mistaken, probably only 2 stations. They had York Gulch and they had St. Mary's. I don't remember any other stations back then for unincorporated Clear Creek County.
Yeah.
We had a Dumont?
3 stations.
Okay, 3.
But you're right.
But that doesn't go way back though. Well, yeah.
Okay,
And you look at, and you're right, we're talking about 1998,
Yeah.
right,
right? And we look at how much it's changed since 1998.
exactly.
It's drastic, and we've historically not changed. We've not adjusted anything since.
Yep. But I think that explains where this came from.
And I talked to some like old timers and they described kind of the environment that happened back then.
Mhm.
And we are in a much different position now.
Much,
I
but
think part of it came from, I think part of it was politically driven too, because I remember before we started it, I was on city council in Idaho Springs back in 1993. And what was really going on is you had all these fire departments and it was like everybody had their own kingdom and their own chief. So you pretty well had to, you had to give them votes, to get them to buy in, because nobody wanted to buy in and become unified fire authority. They all wanted to maintain their own kingdoms. And so to finally become a fire authority over time, as the fight went on, you had to make sure you had to buy them, had to buy their entrance almost by giving them a vote. I think that was half of it.
so I'm
And that's obviously an outdated model. We've gone beyond, everybody trying to paddle their own canoe a long time ago.
Yep. So, yeah. Good plan. Restructuring looks like it's timely. It needs to be done. So,
Observation that I would make on sort of estimating populations and are the right populations represented from where, reminds me a lot of who's paying, where are the calls going, trying to figure out fairness inside the system is incredibly difficult. And it's a problem that we're choosing for ourselves, right? We don't have these problems inside of Title 32. We wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't have this debate. Because we would be one system with one tax base with one group of constituents. So that's just something that I want to observe. I think a lot of the most complicated stuff that we try to figure out amongst each other is a result of that.
Okay. Looking around the room, anybody? Okay, thank you, Sean. Next, we have county review of the mission CIT governance recommendation. That you, Brian?
Yeah, that's me. I'll take that
Okay.
one on. So we're going to this presentation here. So the county was asked to provide comments on the specific recommendation of wrapping with respect to the governance recommendation of wrapping it into the ESGID. If I say county at some point here in the next 5 minutes, I apologize. I know technically it's the ESGID, but so since our last joint meeting, myself and our finance director, Maria Ostrom, who was on the Zoom, had an opportunity to sit down with Kelly, with our fire chief. So thank you, chief, for the time spent. He opened up their books. We did quite a bit of an analysis in a pretty short amount of time, asked him a lot of questions about budget, about their operations, et cetera. And I think the short answer to this question, can we make this happen? Yes, we can. If the desire of all the entities is to wrap this into the ESGID, then we can make that happen. There are some outstanding issues, outstanding questions, decisions that would need to be made by everyone. But the short answer is we can make that work. We can make that work. Some of those reasons for that is today, as we do our analysis, we're not seeing any deal breakers, anything that has to happen this specific way, or we have to say, no, we can't make this work. They have no long-term debt. They have no long-term leases. They have no long-term contracts. So we're not taking on any kind of liabilities per se, if this were to happen. They use many of the same vendors that we do today. Excel, Timberline, Feral Gas, AT&T, they gas up at our road and bridge facility already. Those are simple name changes and address changes on bills. We'd have to retitle the land and equipment into the ESGID. None of those things are difficult to get done. They might be time consuming. They're all boxes that have to be checked. But from the perspective of, can we make this happen? Can we wrap this under the ESGID umbrella? Yes, we can. So next slide, Mike. As we look at this, we think there are some definite opportunities to reduce the overall cost. What does it cost to provide fire protection services in this county today? We believe wrapping it into the county would reduce that overall number. They've got their own general ledger, their own payroll, their own time clocks, virus protection, all the things related to networks and PCs and what our IT team is doing today. They're paying for their attorney right now. So those are all expenses that would go away. So the bottom line cost of fire protection in the county would reduce. Our insurance is cheaper. So again, we think pretty strongly that if this happens, if this was the option chosen, the cost to provide fire protection would be reduced. Now, I know there's been questions out there about the administrative fee that the county charges with respect to its non-general funds. And that's identified and developed by an outside consultant who takes a look at number of FTEs, does a calculation based on my time, the county attorney's time, use of HR, use of the attorney, et cetera. I've seen in writing, and I've heard it said in multiple meetings now that fee is 11%, and I'm not really sure where that number came from. But in all actuality, today's current budget, it's paying 6.1% for that. In the event that we actually did wrap it into the county, that means taking on all their employees, that goes down to 5%. But as I said at the outset, there's some outstanding issues here that are good, and questions that are gonna need to be answered. And we are more than happy to put that on that list. As much as I believe as county manager that in terms of how budgets should be put together, we should be assessing that fee, but that's certainly not that $100,000 fee that equates to, I think it's somewhere in that number, that 5%. That's not worth the broader question of what's the best governance structure moving forward. So we just move that to our outstanding issues list and we let those decisions get made when they need to get made. And frankly, this is with respect to, well, also we believe strongly that all of the reductions in cost would more than cover that fee if we implemented that fee. So you've got enough savings that generated by the move that would actually cover that fee if it was assessed. Now, that's a purely fiscal lens, right? That's taking a look at wrapping them into the general improvement district, looking at it from a purely fiscal lens. What kind of change would occur? And again, we think there's a lot of savings to be had there, but what kind of operational efficiencies can be there? What kind of service delivery changes can happen from wrapping it into the general improvement district? We haven't even discussed that yet. And we definitely think there's some improvements that could probably be made there as well. So final slide, Megan. So that's the issue of cost. That's the issue of that outstanding admin fee that I know people have questions about. Again, we can throw that onto an outstanding issues list. But in the end, at least the policy decisions that we've come up with right now, they're all the immediate questions that would need to be answered if we were to make this kind of change. You know, paid time off, our accrual rates are the same, our caps are the same today. But we allow a payout. Halfway through the year, you can get with our HR and we allow an actual payout of our PTO. Not, it's a small thing, but something different than in our benefit structure. The county offers 80 hours of sick to every single employee. Fire authority is not offering any of that right now. Right, so there's no sick leave being given to their employees. So there's these changes in benefits that would need to be decided. They're in FPPA. We're not in FPPA. Again, just an outstanding issue that the team here would have to decide in the end. We would probably need to get Peter and the team involved with respect to legal issues. They do not pay into Social Security right now. The county does. So right now, that's just even an issue for the county right now because our sheriff's office is asking for FPPA. FPPA is expensive, but we would also have to pay that Social Security on top of the FPPA expense, right? So we would want some kind of a ruling to ensure that we could keep the fire department out of having to pay Social Security. So, and these are all immediate policy decisions, right? That would need to be made if that's the decision to wrap it into the county. I think there's probably others that have mentioned, this issue of paramedics / firefighters been thrown out there. Those are more of the operational issues, I think, that would need to be discussed. But just this general question of, do we think we can make this governance recommendation work if that's where we head? The answer is yes, we can do that. So I'm going to stop there and happy to take any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Brian? Okay.
Well, I'll offer some commentary. I look at your presentation and the sort of the issues that you looked through that you mapped out. I thought this is sort of, I don't want to, naive is the word that came to mind. Because what you identified is the stuff that's not thorny, right? The stuff that's thorny is like, will firefighters be required to be paramedics? Will paramedics be required to become fire medics, right? Are we going to decide we have a better idea about where firefighters should be staffed or where fire stations should be built, et cetera, right? Those are the things that feel thorny to me. That feel thorny to me. That I think we need to kind of map out and talk through. I think it's healthy for us to talk through that stuff, kind of regardless of the structure we land on. So the three things that I have is sort of this question of integration, staffing locations, capital strategies. I'm not saying staffing locations because I want to change staffing locations. I'm thinking of it as an example of something that a question I continue to ask myself as I try to put myself in the shoes of the municipalities. When you want to retain this authority, it's like specifically which authority to control for which outcomes. And that's where like staffing locations comes into my mind. Would you be worried that it's under the board of directors or under the county that we would like move the staffing model? Or, you know, so that's what I think could be really helpful right now would be to just do a little bit of brainstorming. Like, what are some of these operational issues that we care about that are causing us to be in this room, frankly?
You know what, kind of like what drives our fears, and let's expose them and then find solutions to them.
Not even necessarily what drives our fears, but just like what are the, when you think about the fire department and how it works, what matters to you? Like what's really, really important that causes you to spend time on it?
Well, just listening to what Brian said, talking about the FPPA, if you take that away, you're taking away any retirement funds that the existing workers have now.
No one's suggesting that we would take it away. I was just identifying that as an issue on that list. Right, that transition, that's a key difference between what the county's doing today and what the FPPA is doing. That's just an outstanding item on the list. Wasn't
So you're
suggesting.
not saying you would do away with.
No,
the
no.
FPPA?
No, ma'am.
Okay, misunderstood.
I think it's like a discussion to be had about what's the form of retirement for the employee in that situation. And should it be FPPA? And of course, they wouldn't lose that. It wouldn't be taken away from them, but would there be another thing that would replace it? And how would it compare? And, you know, how do you make sure that the employees stay whole? Those are the questions we have to answer to make as a group, to make the decisions about what it is up front with, so we have an understanding going in. So that's like George just said, what are the things that we're facing as a, you know, as an, what do we, I'll use a different word than fear. I'll use heartburn, you know, or something like that. But what gives us heartburn, whatever it is, what are the problems out there that we need to solve and the things we're worried about that might not get solved the right way, so we can make sure they do get solved.
Well, I have a concern about the reduction from the current numbers and numbers that we could actually renegotiate if we were taking a look at resource distribution and needs of the population as it's distributed through the county under the renegotiated IGA versus having the final word come to just 3 commissioners. And then with the authority for hiring or appointing the fire chief given to the county manager. You know, Peter brought up that under the ES, GID, you got it. That there could be an entering into individual IGAs with the different municipalities, but and you could probably lock down a certain amount of variable, you know, I mean, there's a turnover in commissioners. So say a new commissioner comes on board and they want to do all kinds of things differently. And suddenly there's, okay, Georgetown, you've got lots of calls that we can attribute to your jurisdiction. So here's what your contribution needs to be to this. And try as we might, our board can't come up with that in our budget. So then what happens? So, I mean, an IGA might be able to smooth that or keep it from, giant fluctuations, but it's still not really the kind of assurance that our voice is heard. It's not the same to us as having 2 votes on, or however many votes we have on an actual board on the fire authority. And I, imagine the other municipalities feel a similar uncertainty about how that could play out because, elected officials are all term limited here and there's a turnover and you never know who's going to be elected and, everybody looks at things differently and has causes close to their hearts that they want to champion. And it could have a very different effect on the municipalities' financial situations if they don't have that direct vote. That's just my feeling. So. And I don't know if an IGA would take care of all of that. So.
Is there a legal system, I guess I'm talking to Peter now, that could address that instead of the three commissioners making the decision and defer to a board that has the authority to do that?
Right, so that's what we were talking about when I briefly alluded to that kind of advisory or Randy had a better term. I actually liked the steering committee.
Your board or something like.
I think that is something that if indeed that was the determination and it is on the same page, any IGAs we entered into would reference that and what the authority of that steering committee would be. And if the board of directors delegates these various functions, it's certainly practical and certainly something that can be done. That ends up just being all of you deciding, we're comfortable with that. It's absolutely an option.
So we could identify, I mean, you mentioned contribution requirements. You could identify contribution requirements. And then we would have to do, it would be the same as the IGA we're in now, right? If we wanted to go rogue and change something, we'd have to say, we need a new IGA.
Right. Yeah, and if you look at it this way, if the board of directors, which is the ultimate authority, said, well, we're just going to do this, you can put something in the IGAs that basically says the advisor, the steering committee gets to make the final, gets to have a veto of sorts on what a board, whether or not it can move forward with the final vote. Before that issue can go to the board of directors, we can do that. Before something gets to the board of directors, the steering committee must all be in agreement, keeping in mind that the steering committee is not just going to be the municipalities at that point. The county will equally have its people on that steering committee. And so realistically, if you can come to a unanimity, then something would get to the board and the board would vote. You can put rules in there that indicate if there's not unanimity, then it won't move forward.
It's a consensus model as an example.
Exactly. And that's just, and that's where the negotiation comes in is, okay, so what is the board, knowing that at the end of the day, the board of directors has its statutory responsibilities, what are they comfortable with? What does legal tell them? I would remind them they are the ultimate say, but there's nothing in the structure that you can't all agree to that leads that direction. And then provides that unanimity, which is helpful, I think.
And how long would it take to do
So you'd have the practical aspects of the actual implementation aspects that Brian was talking about, the onboarding aspects. But coming up with the IGAs that address that language, I don't feel that's a lengthy process because it's been evident because when these parties have put their mind to it, they've gotten an IGA across the finish line in a much quicker time than was originally anticipated. So if you all came to some sort of general consensus of that governance structure, that would allow us to start getting into that negotiation and putting that into paper. And then the actual IGAs are not difficult to put together.
I guess the question, that I was really trying to get to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just, I'm just trying to think, how long would this take to get this board or this body to be in consensus with that? Would it not be better to at least look at the current IGA in order to pass that so that that could take place and do the time necessary to put through the thought of what kind of that's gonna look like?
So
I think that there's pressure to do that. There's pressure to not have no fire authority at the same time.
right. So I would tell you, and I had this brief discussion with my counterparts today. As the lawyer that would be working on drafting this with my counterparts, I say to myself, there's an IGA in existence right now for another 8 months. And no disrespect to any other view here, to prematurely just extend that when we don't have to extend it yet. We have plenty of time to simply extend it. The way the IGA currently reads is you can extend it for up to 2 additional years, 1 year at a time. So that's a matter of a vote going to each of the boards, which is a matter of basically a month where everybody coordinates it and gets it done. And you would do that. So my suggestion would be, I understand the idea, and I leave it to really Brian and the Board of County Commissioners to convey assurances that the IGA is not going to go away tomorrow. I don't believe that. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't see massive shifts in people. I think it's very clear that the Board of County Commissioner values the firefighters that are there, okay? I realize there's a lot of other things.
Sure.
So I would just say that it can be done. My suggestion, if I were advising you, would be, let's put that part on hold. Let's figure out the governance structure and then determine, okay, do we need to do an extension at that point? And we plan for it accordingly, or are we getting there? And then we don't need to. An extension's an easy thing.
So that question kind of shifted us to item number 6. So we're leaping ahead, but it's good. It's fine.
Any other?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was gonna say, I mean, that's a good point, Peter,
Yeah.
but my question is, I'm just observing, and I know I have no vote here. I'm a representative, just like Brian's. And, but I guess I would say, what if we flip that idea? Instead of that, but you flipped it to the opposite and said, we're gonna be focused on the IGA renewal. Because that's the most pressing thing for everyone. And working out the details of looking at the governance and changing the model, because then at that point, we have time, there's no rush. But every one of us, it's like, if you look at the municipalities, ask them that question. What is more important, the governance or the IGA renewable? Instead of, it's like, listen to the people, listen to the board members, listen to our municipalities and see which one is the most important to get done.
So you can't look to me for that decision,
Right.
because that's definitely all your decision. I can just tell you that right now you have a valid IGA that is locked tight for 8 months.
9 months.
Not, well, April, are we April?
Very first.
Well, this is April.
Yeah.
1st.
But I understood there was going to be no math when I took. So don't quote me on any of that, but I will tell you that, I'm just thinking from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But
So,
I think the assumption should be that we're going to have an IGA at some point in time that's going to reflect either what we learned between now and the time that we have to have an IGA, and we can make that IGA be as good as it can be. And it probably won't look like the one that we would renew today, because we're going to come to some conclusions, no matter what they are, even if we stay with the existing fire authority structure. We're probably going to have a different looking IGA, and we're going through a process to determine what that IGA would look like. And we've got months to work on that, whether or not we get into a ballot, whether or not any of those things, but to like renew it right now and then say, now we've got 1.5 years or we've got another year and 9 months to look at it instead of 9 months to look at it. I mean, nobody wants us to walk out of here without us having a collaboration, without us having fire service, without us having all these employees still in place. There's no one in the room that thinks or wants that to happen. And, if you jump too soon, you're never, if you're trying to get over the Snake River, you've got to like wait a little last second and jump, and to go to where you're going. We've got a hurdle in front of us, but we have an opportunity in front of us to make transitions. And, I don't have heartburn over renewing an IGA, other than I think I'd like for it to be informed by the conversations we're going to be having a week at a time over the next few months, and make it be as good as it can be, and have the incentive to do that, and see how good we can make it by the time we sign it. And then continue to reinforce to everyone in this room, and that idea that we're all in this together and we want to make that happen, and especially reinforce to the employees of the fire authority at this time, that they're not going away, unless they manage to, extricate themselves from our grasp, but we want to keep them. And we all have to believe that and sell that to the people that are working for us.
They don't believe that
Why not?
because it hasn't proven to be true.
What? What hasn't proven to be true?
The firefighters have a concept that says you will not agree as a group to give us some kind of assurance that we still have some kind of an authority that means I still have my job. And the longer you put that off, the more people who are gonna walk, I guarantee it.
I think we could give them assurances of keeping their jobs for 12 months. I think that has nothing to do with the governance.
The thing is,
I
with the
didn't say it
governance,
did. I'm saying their perception is what you're ignoring.
Where they're getting that?
I don't know. I'm telling you what I'm hearing, okay? I did not ask. I'm just trying to hear what everybody's saying and come up with something that will work for all of us. And I think you're playing with fire.
Yeah, I mean, I would sign my name to a letter essentially ensuring that they could keep their jobs no matter what the governance structure changed.
I just don't see the harm in re-signing this IGA to provide that little bit of comfort for our employees, or there's already multiples looking for other jobs at this point. But if we change this government structure, that IGA is wiped. It's done. We're talking about something that we've wasted a lot of time on at this point. That would just be a signature that will go away even if we come up to a Title 32 district in 7 months. Somehow miraculously, whatever we do. If that was the case, that IGA is gone. We go underneath the county in 7 months. That IGA is gone. Does not matter that we all sat here and we signed it. It's just about giving these guys a little bit of reassurance in their minds, not our minds. That's all I'm saying. You're thinking of your guys' minds and your thoughts towards it, not their thoughts. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, to me, the solution is worse than the problem. And if we can basically give them assurances a different way that has some level, I mean, into Peter in terms of how that could be binding. But I mean, just from my own personal, well, I'll tell you what I was kind of going to wait till the end of the meeting. I think the fact that the Title 32 district can charge sales tax to me is a complete game changer. Because what that also means is that down the road, we could still merge fire and EMS. And when Brian talked about the efficiencies possible, he talked about what are to me the least interesting ones, which are the financial ones. What I think are the most interesting ones are the operational efficiencies. And one simple example, I mean, how many of your firefighters are EMTs?
Probably, all my paid staff are. My wife lives in numbers. It's pretty high because we've been, as we slowly.
Yeah, if you did nothing else besides train them to drive ambulances and facilitate splitting crews, which happened way back in the day in the 90s, I've been told, that has profound potential impacts on your ability to flex and your ability to run more calls simultaneously without having to call mutual aid. I mean, those are the things to me that get me really excited. And if this bill passes, you can do all that in a Title 32 district. And
The bill passes. We don't even know if the bill's gonna pass yet, though.
no one does, but I mean, by virtue of the fact that it has support and the governor says it's okay, I will bet you a beer that passes.
I hope
It's also being used by the State Fire Chiefs Association.
Oh, in another month or so.
Yeah, it'll be.
Don't have to wait.
But anyway, and so I'm probably jumping ahead, but in my own mind, what I'm thinking is that's probably the right place to land, and I won't be surprised if this group reaches that consensus over time. So then the real question is, what is the safest, fastest, easiest, best way to get from where we are now, to where we are then? And I'm totally open to signing a night to continuing to keep the fire authority alive, because I don't have a desire to have this under the county. I mean, if I look at it from my fiduciary role, that's the last thing I want, right? I don't want more fiduciary risk or financial risk, because essentially the county would be taking on a huge amount of work that we're not currently doing. And the only reason I was sort of open to it before I got this news about the potential for the sales tax and the Title 32 is because it allowed for what I think is best for the citizens, which is fire and EMS to work together and to create a much more efficient organization. Because I mean, one of the questions I'll keep asking too is, I don't know of any other organizations that are as small as us that have two silos, and one of which has basically, or neither one of which has any volunteers. I mean,
Is this addressed in Aaron's report that he made?
not really, but I mean, I'll leave it at that to say I'm totally open to signing an IMG. I'm probably not open to extending the one that I believe has unfair representation.
That was an
So-
excellent
so-
segue.
Yes, it was, because that hopefully gets us back on track with the, agenda, because I was hoping to cover all of these topics before we started talking about the IGA renewal. So do we have any other comments though on the governance recommendations and the county review concerns that the other partners have? Silver Plume? Nope. Okay. Idaho Springs? Don't see anybody? Nope. Okay. Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's 8:00.
Uh-huh.
I just want to do a little check-in before we have Aaron go, because he's got a lot of good news to share, and I want him to be able to talk about the wonderful team that he's assembled with all the data behind it that he can show how wonderful they are. But I don't want that to be rushed either, and it's already 8:00, and we've got other items on the agenda, so I just throw that out there as a.
Thank you.
Do we want him to do this now, or do we want to postpone that until the next meeting?
I think it's valuable to do now if everybody agrees.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this should only take about 4 hours.
All right.
Potty break first.
So yeah, this is kind of, it'll take just shy of 4 hours, but this is kind of a long answer to, I think, one simple question, which I'll answer at the end, but next slide. Yeah, that's the one. So simple start with our values and goals. And I'll kind of slide through this pretty quick, but honesty, integrity, crucial to us individually and as an organization, humble and open-minded, which you can't have one without the other. And then seeking opportunities to constantly train and develop as clinicians, which I think show you that we do that. But what is important here is our mission. And so just reading this word for word, and I promise I won't do this throughout the entire presentation, but Clear Creek EMS is striving to provide the most progressive emergency 911 medical response and advanced level paramedic care in the region. Our goal is to be a model for which other agencies will use when attempting to improve their response plans and clinical abilities. And the main words in here, and I'll bring this back later in the presentation, but our goal is to be a model. Because if we can do that, we're doing some stuff right. So moving on, go to the objective. So what's the standard at Clear Creek EMS? I'm going to talk about what we're focusing on at least a little bit, because like I said, I was joking when I said 4 hours, obviously, but I could go way longer than that. So I kind of pared it down to, easy to understand information and data that I can provide everyone to kind of give you an idea. Improvements and successes, and then my brief response to what was related to EMS in the Mission CIT study. So critical care endorsement. So, and this is a little bit of a story, but I worked and still do actually, part-time, a few days a month. I worked as a critical care flight paramedic. And it dawned on me about a year into flying. I remember the patient that I had, and we were doing lots and lots of really advanced things to this really, really critically ill patient. And it dawned on me, I was like, I don't really understand everything that I'm doing here with my partner. We could do this in a ground ambulance, but nobody does. And I don't really understand why we don't. And so I had this epiphany that I was like, if I ever work on a ground ambulance again, I'm gonna see if we can do this. And now I do work on a ground ambulance, and we do. So we decided that we would pursue the highest level certification for all of our paramedics that is out there. And that's the flight paramedic certification or critical care paramedic certification. So every single one of our paramedics that is not in the field training program, so not recently hired, has this certification. And it allows us, it actually gives us access to a much more robust set of interventions, way more than what most EMS agencies have in the state and in the country. The state says, if you want something really, really advanced, there are two ways to get it. One, you can go through the waiver process, which is really, really, I would say, difficult. And two is you can prove to them that you're willing to go above and beyond and become critical care endorsed. And then they just say for most of these things, you can just do it because you've proved that you have that level of education. So this is the standard at Clear Creek EMS, and I think it should be the standard throughout the state and the country. And I don't know of another EMS agency in the state that requires this. I'm not saying that we are the only one, but we may be the only one. So this is what I think the standard should be, and this is the standard here. So if you have to dial 911, you can know that the paramedic that shows up is a higher level certified paramedic than pretty much anywhere else in the state. And what this has done for us. So this has allowed us to add some additional protocols that lots of EMS agencies, again, in the state and the country don't have. One is rapid sequence intubation. This is the most advanced procedure you can do for someone who isn't breathing effectively or isn't breathing at all in some cases. And we have tangible data that shows that that our outcomes for patients that require this are much better today than they were for 3 years ago. For example, we have people tonight that are eating dinner with their family that wouldn't have been, which feels really good. Post-intubation sedation, that kind of goes along with that. And really what that means is we can keep really, really critically ill and injured patients a lot more comfortable now than what we could before. Matter of fact, if we go back 3 years ago, for example, there were some cases where we would just have to sit and wait for a helicopter to get there and watch someone in extreme agony. And we don't have to do that anymore, which is an incredible offering. Mechanical ventilators. This is a really complex device that we use to breathe for people now. That, if you're just an EMS agency without the critical care endorsement, you can't just have. And we do. We have these on all of our ambulances tonight. So, and we use them, and again, tangible data to show better outcomes today than years ago. And because of what we've done with the critical care endorsement and with the addition of these protocols, not just adding them, but proving to our medical direction that we can do these things the right way. We've been chosen as a pilot site to carry whole blood. We'll be one of the first EMS agencies, and maybe the first EMS agency in the state of Colorado to carry whole blood, and we're minutes away from that. We're waiting on an MOU signature from the blood bank, and then one from Chairman Wood, which, by the way, that's heading your way, just so you know. So this is the number one cause of death between basically newborn and about 45 years of age is trauma. And there's one intervention that can change that significantly, and that's whole blood. So that's coming. As a matter of fact, this is off subject, but April 24th, we're gonna have a blood drive in this room. And that blood will it has a possibility to actually end up on our ambulance. So if you're interested in donating,
Cool.
April 24th, more information to come from Megan.
Okay.
And then right now we have about 5 more critical care advanced level protocols. We're not trying to flood our paramedics and overwhelm them, but we've already been able to prove necessity, speak with our medical director, show a plan, and these will be implemented pretty soon. And these are all based on, these protocols are based on data that we've pulled to show that our community needs these, and we now have the ability to provide them. So these will be incredible additions. And if I'm sitting here a year from now presenting this information, that number will be a lot less. So, next slide. So some of our patient care outcome data. So over the last several years, really go back to 2020, we really started developing our quality assurance program and our training program. We noticed that our cardiac arrest survival rates, and what I mean by that is someone was in cardiac arrest, right? Their heart was not beating. We resuscitated, transported to the hospital, and they walked out. So not left and didn't have quality of life. I mean, again, I'll use the phrase eating dinner with their family tonight. So you can't just get a heart rate back and call it good. That doesn't count. They have to have quality of life. And so after implementing that QA program and a training program with the fire authority, with law enforcement, right before we get on scene, if everything doesn't go exactly how it should go, what we do doesn't matter. So this is a huge effort, and there will be more to come on this as well. But 2021, if you compare us to the national average, 22.2% of our cardiac arrest resuscitations walked out of the hospital compared to 7.2. In 2022, 26.7 compared to 7.5. And in 2023, 50%, which is, don't expect that number ever again. It was the stars aligned a lot last year, but also our paramedics are that good at what they do. And I'm serious when I say don't expect that number. And I won't tell you what our goal number is because I don't want to burden our paramedics with that, but it's much higher than these national rates because we have the ability to do it. And this is cool, right? I mean, this shows like, you know, most places in the country, if 10 people went into cardiac arrest in their service area, less than one of them walked out of the hospital. And in Clear Creek County, if 10 people went into cardiac arrest, 5 of them walked out of the hospital. That's pretty incredible considering we don't have a receiving facility. We don't have one close. We don't have, like Mike was talking about earlier, we don't have urban response times, right? We can't be there in 4 minutes most of the time. We're talking about cardiac arrests on Berthoud. We're talking about, you know, backcountry. We're talking about cardiac arrests in the river. So these numbers I think are pretty incredible. And let's actually, what I think matters even more is if we compare to the state. So next slide, we'll do that. So again, you know our numbers. So if we compare to the rest of the state in 2021, we doubled the state average, more than doubled it in 2022. And in 2023, we're going to quadruple it. We don't know what the state numbers are for 2023 yet. The cardiac arrest registry to enhance survival is still pushing those numbers and going through them with a fine tooth comb. Ours are published, which means they've gone through those and said, yeah, these are legitimate. All of these count. None of them can be thrown out. These are legitimate. So I'll have that comparison here pretty soon, but you can see year over year, it doesn't change much for the national average, state average. Advanced airway management. This is the most, again, this goes back to the rapid sequence intubation protocol, and it has to do with cardiac arrest as well. But advanced airway management is, you know, for a lay person is someone who isn't breathing effectively and will potentially die if we don't breathe for them, or someone in cardiac arrest who isn't breathing at all. This is something else that we noticed several years ago we needed to work on. Our data showed that we were about at the national average numbers. And so again, QA process, training process, we're constantly tweaking those things to improve. 2021 was the first year after we really focused on this. 65% first pass success rate. That means that the first time we attempted this really detailed, important procedure, 65% of the time we did it well. And that 65% is actually higher than the national average. And then overall success was 94%. So 94% of the patients that we attempted this procedure on it. In 2022, those improved again to 74 and 100% respectively. In 2023, 87% and 100%. And year to date, both of those are at 100%. And we have a lot of data to pull from so far this year. We've had a really, really high acuity first 3 months, not 4 months. Peter. Sorry. It is April. So yeah, that's basically it on that slide. Another
I saw those
addition-
numbers. I mean,
I'm sorry.
doctors in the ER, placing them in a serene environment with their favorite music playing are at what numbers?
So they are at 90% first pass success rate. So in 2023, we were 3% off, but we're talking about 72 degrees, your favorite playlist, whatever the height you want the bed, right? We're talking about in the river, we're talking about behind someone's couch in a basement where they hit the one light bulb on the way down. So that matters. That's certainly a consideration. Next slide.
Wrong way.
Oh, I can talk about those.
There you go.
Another addition we did is again, looking at data, how else can we help the community? How else can we provide a service that we need to provide? And we're, as I'm preaching to the choir in here, tourism, recreation, right? That's the kind of community that we live in. And so we have a lot of people visiting and they're wanting to go into the backcountry. And so we work, especially in the summer, a little bit in the winter, but in the summer, we run a lot of calls in the backcountry, more than most other EMS agencies, respectively. And so we've never been able to access these patients in technical settings, right? If it's an easy hike on the trail, we'll go. But if they were rock climbing and now they're in a harness and they're unconscious because a rock hit them and they're halfway up a cliff wall, that's not for us. We would wait for Alpine and the fire authority to get them to a safe place, and then we would treat them there. Well, other agencies do this really well, where they actually insert a paramedic into those technical settings. And so we thought we can probably do this too. Alpine Rescue Team is highly technical, and they do a lot of things really well. And so we worked with them. They trained a handful, I believe we have 6 or 7, specifically we call them the SARP team. So critical care paramedics trained to get in a harness or go into wherever that technical place is, so that we can insert a critical care paramedic and start assessment and treatment in places we've never been able to before. So 2024 will be the first full year where we've been able to do this, and I'll actually be able to provide data, which I think will show better outcomes for people that we've never been able to provide better outcomes to before. So over the edge, this is something that Clear Creek EMS used to do. This is actually not in relation to the search and rescue paramedic team. All of our paramedics and EMTs are now trained to use the harness and rope system that we put together. Again, high alpine terrain, extremely rugged. We have a lot of motor vehicle accidents that go over the edge. And how do you get down there safely? I've been on those calls before, not using a rope system, and I've gotten down there and realized like, oh yeah, it shouldn't be here. And so now our EMTs and paramedics are able to go and assess that patient and wait for Alpine or the fire authority to get those patients up. But in the meantime, we can assess and treat in a place where we used to not be able to do that at all, or not as safe as we should be. Multiple award nominations. So 2023 was a good year for MES, and you've seen some of the data now. This is a picture of 3 of our paramedics, and there was the elderly gentleman and female, not on the outside. So the other 2 were involved in a head-on collision into a Jersey barrier at highway speeds. They were both critical. He was even potentially peri-arrest.
Which means
almost dead. And thank you. I haven't used a lot of acronyms. In the sheriff's office was there, the fire authority that was there, we were there, right? We transported this couple to the hospital, a lot of interventions, everything went really well. She spent 4 months in the hospital, lots of surgeries. She had a blood transfusion. If we had blood, both of them would have gotten all of our blood on that call. He spent 7 months in the hospital, and again, multiple blood transfusions, multiple surgeries, and they both walked out. And so those 3 paramedics were nominated for Trauma Call of the Year, I believe is what this one was. We had another crew that was nominated for Trauma something of the Year at this same symposium.
That was a combined, right?
It was 2 different, I'm talking about 2 different crews actually. So this was Trauma Call. No, I'm sorry. I don't remember. Anyway, 2 different awards, trauma related at a trauma symposium, and really cool to get nominated. The crew that actually won the Trauma Crew of the Year was actually from Highlands Ambulance, and it was one paramedic that saved like 2 babies in a car accident. I don't get it. but apparently that was really cool. But and then the.
Guys are competitive.
Yeah. I'll give him that. He or she did really well. And then the other thing is we were invited, because of our quality assurance process, and in relation to our cardiac arrest outcomes, our quality assurance and clinical educator was invited to San Diego to speak on those things at the Citizen CPR Summit. And that's a national summit to improve cardiac arrest outcomes. And they wanted Clear Creek County to talk about how we went from national averages, state averages to the averages that we have now. So, yeah. And then, like I said, this would wrap back around. Our goal is to be a model. In just the last few months, I've been contacted by 3 different EMS agencies, and not just like one time, hey, I got a quick question for you, but these are ongoing conversations that I've had with them about what we're doing and about the success rates that we've appreciated. And I've provided them the playbook, right? Our initial outline for how we were going to become a critical care endorsed agency for our protocols. And then I continue to talk to them about how they can get to that point too. Because we don't own it. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We took bits and pieces from other places and physicians and figured out how it could work here for what we needed. But I think that proves that we are at least moving in the right direction for becoming a model for other rural EMS agencies. And then, like I said, long answer to can we make a consolidation work operationally? I think is the question that I'm really supposed to answer about the mission CIT study. And my answer is yes, but what does success look like, right? So we can do anything. The answer is yes. The one thing that my highest priority, right, is these patient outcomes. I would love to sit here every year and show you all of these and then whatever other information you want. Felt like I didn't have 4 hours tonight, so I didn't put it all in here, but we can do this and we can maintain. I can show you similar numbers every year. We can also do it and I can show you national and state averages. So I think the conversation hasn't really come up a bunch tonight about operational structure. I think we can do this the right way if there's a potential consolidation between fire and EMS. But I think it would take a really thoughtful approach and understanding, if these numbers that I showed tonight are one of the highest priorities, we have to really consider that and make sure that we can maintain it.
Deliver those priorities without the level of specialization that you're providing right now. That would be the question. Is that correct?
Deliver those.
Is what's implied here. Would you still be able to deliver at that level? If your efforts were diffused over a broader spectrum of responsibility, as an example, it would depend a lot on how that organization allowed you to still specialize at such an intense level. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, yes. I think the reason we're able to provide the numbers that I just showed is because this is the one thing that we focus on.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. And yes, if we were asked to focus on many more things, then these would potentially dilute.
So can I elaborate on it?
Yeah.
He's exactly right. If you look at the study recommends that you make EMS dual role. So they're firefighter paramedics.
Where's that in the report?
It's in the draft. I don't know if it made it all the way, but it's in the back section. And it's kind of the common thing. West Metro did it, a couple of departments did it. But I think we lose our ability to provide high quality medical care by doing that. Again, if we staff appropriately, these outcomes stay the same or get better. And I think that would be my push. Whatever this, if it were to consolidate in the future, is they remain single role paramedics. Summit made all their medics dual role, and we'll just say it's less than stellar. being resolved, right? It improves, they got the medics they can use on some structure fires occasionally. But they can't, because they're doing all that extra training, and Eric can attest this, because he maintains fire certs. If yours every 3 years, whether he likes it or not. You start focusing on that, you lose some of your focus on really what should be important for EMS. So what I asked the group to do is, whatever gets considered, please don't take away all their, what they've done the last 3 years, because the outcomes we've had in the backcountry on some trauma patients and some cardiac arrests, we wouldn't have seen 4 years ago. And we're seeing it consistently. We had a broken neck at the, up at St. Mary's in the Lake. Last year, actually, right after his crews were trained to be backcountry paramedics. That patient outcome was improved because of that program.
Do you know why all this happened? Brian Monsoon.
Yes.
I mean, when he took over leadership of EMS,
Right, there was
he
a
took
shift in
over
leadership.
a very challenged organization. He had a report that was created by the state of Colorado's consultative visit EMS branch with 55 recommendations. I remember he did one of them the day he got hired. He basically moved to DLD. Anyway, I just think he deserves the credit that's due him.
He does.
He's why I'm here. Absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to publicly thank Aaron.
Yeah.
These are not outcomes achieved by chance, right?
No.
This is very purposeful in the work that he's doing with his team, and they're tremendous outcomes and tremendous measures of what a successful EMS team can be. So thank you, Aaron. And I think we're lucky in this small county to have that kind of.
Yeah, it's, he's, most of us have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. And it still makes you proud. You know, very proud of you and proud to be from here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say the board had very little to do with any of this success, and we didn't even have knowledge of it. I mean, essentially, we provided resources and got out of the way. One thing I'll say, page 103 in the report, it mentions advantages of dual role. It doesn't, I don't think it goes as far as recommending it, and I agree with you.
He's pulled some out of the draft, and so I had a series of side conversations. Post draft to hopefully limit that. Talked to a bunch of agencies, and I understand Evergreen's, for example, standalone EMS under an EMS chief, very good at what they do on the medical side for a reason. I think you dilute that. You start making them dual role. Just my professional opinion.
So I'm doing my best to record the sort of things that we want to keep in mind. Right. One of them, I don't think anybody in the room wants us to do something that would cost these medical outcomes.
And again, don't expect 50%.
Standard.
Not attainable.
Better than that.
Yeah, which from a, yes,
Which means a couple go fall this way or that way over a given year, make big differences in the numbers.
yes. And yeah, that's a longer conversation.
Yeah, I can't promise I'm not gonna ask you what happened if those numbers go down.
That's good. Aaron, that's impressive. 28 minutes, a 4-hour meeting.
Yeah.
20 minutes, it felt like 4 hours.
Well done. Okay, anybody have questions or comments?
Good job.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's.
I feel a lot better doing outdoor rock climbing now.
Okay. So, I was just curious, though, I mean, the question that was asked was your response to the mission CIT, which included 3 different scenarios. Any thoughts on,
In terms of governance.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't really think that's my place. The governance, I think that's everyone else. I think operationally, and maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, I'm told I'm wrong all the time, but, I'm married. My wife, she'll tell me, but, no, she's wonderful.
and she's listening.
I'll see her on here.
It doesn't really matter to me. Again, I think that last slide was, can any of these work with a potential consolidation with EMS and fire? And I think the answer is yes.
I see.
I just, careful consideration for allowing us to still be able to pursue these kind of successful patient outcomes.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Anything else on this topic? Okay, let's go ahead and dive back into the IGA renewal. After having heard all of the presentations, does that change anybody's view on IGA renewal? I think the 9 months that we have left on the IGA would give the current employees of the fire authority at least assurance through, we're not going to let this drop. We're not going to let things just fall to pieces and, this is not the federal government. We don't shut things down. We keep things going. So I think they should be reassured. I'm not sure that even a letter that people sign is reassurance for everyone. And life does have a certain amount of uncertainty, but we're not ready to rebuild a fire department just because we're not in 100% agreement on everything. That still needs to function. So I hope they are reassured, if they're listening, that we're not trying to rock their boat. We are trying to get the best outcome in fire response as we possibly can, and fire safety for the citizens and our visitors. That's my goal anyway. So, anybody else have?
I wasn't gonna talk, but.
Oh, go
I guess
ahead.
my biggest thing that I want to say to everybody in this room, whether it be volunteer or paid staff, be mindful of what you say. Because I know, Sean, you were saying how you asked Wendy how the firefighters have any idea what's going on. They watch the meetings, they watch the commissioner meetings. So they're hearing what's being said. And so, and again, perception is everything, but if they take your anti-fire authority, they're gonna tell the other people the same things. So we just really have to be mindful about what we say or how we say it is the biggest thing I would throw out.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, so I talk to staff all the time. And I'm pretty blunt about the fact that we need to go through the process. Right, we've got 3 options in front of us. We need to go through the process, and is the process gonna be fun? Probably not. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's gonna be just, it's gonna be great. Cause it's not, it's gonna be rough, but the end goal, and I talk to him, is when we get to the end of this, whatever the resolution is, we as employees and you guys as elected officials can all say, we looked at all sides of this and we came up with the best solution to the problem that we could. And we can move forward. There's always gonna be a level of uncertainty. And I think a lot of it is, I've got current employees that were volunteers during the previous IGA debacles. And I'm gonna call them debacles because they were.
They were.
And I've got letters and stuff that I still in my office from some of those debacles from municipal partners not liking whatever they didn't like that particular year, or all of it. So they're a little gun shy because of that.
I hear you.
They're very open-minded, but we're working through that. I know I'm gonna lose people. All right, now, the people, if I lose the 2 I've got that are in process, it's not because of this process, it's because I can't pay them more. Right? I'm no longer competitive in the job market within the state of Colorado because there's some weird stuff that's happened the last 2 years. And wages have gone way up. You can go be a law enforcement officer in a small town, actually for Empire, for example, for more money, $16,000 more than they make as a firefighter. Right, so that's a lot of the driver too, is as far as trying to keep and retain employees and have them look towards the future of what this looks like. It's encouraging that we go through this process. There's benefits to it. But we have to go through the process. And we have to all agree to work through the process and accept the best conclusion that comes out, right? Whatever that solution is. And I think we'll get through it.
I mean, I'm really relieved to hear that that's the message. If the message is, we have some things to talk about and they're not gonna affect your job security. I think we have what we need. I haven't heard, we've been talking about this for years. I've never heard a single elected or appointed official or staff of any of these organizations say, we don't need firefighters, or we need fewer firefighters, or we need different firefighters. And so I think every opportunity we can have to reaffirm that in a public meeting where people are watching, I think that's an excellent thing to do. I'll take that opportunity every time I'm given it.
I think what we're trying to do is make their future brighter, if anything.
So just to add to that, we're talking about FPPA. Do you use Social Security as law enforcement for FPPA?
We don't pay.
No, you don't, right?
They
So
do not.
Sheriff's office shouldn't either.
Yes, they do.
But not when you go full FPPA, you shouldn't.
They're not.
We never opted
No,
out.
if you let them go FPPA, then they don't, yeah, you currently do.
Question for Peter, but you had to opt out of Social Security and we did not opt out. So
Okay.
even if we went to FPPA, we'd be paying.
Because they should, when you go to FPPA, they should have to opt out at the time you go to FPPA.
There's 3 different levels, but it's probably beyond the scope of this conversation.
Yeah.
My point being, if we talk about FPPA, this is really kind of this is a more prickly subject than anything else we're gonna talk about.
Understood.
From a
Yeah.
firefighter perspective, because FPPA allows them to go any department in the state of Colorado and bring their retirement with them. And when you take that away from them, you're further behind competitive. You can't recruit people. Pretty devastating departments that make that choice. And there's still a few out there that don't do FPPA that have pretty consistent openings.
Everybody doesn't.
Their paid staff should be FPPA.
They're not. I'm on the pension board, I can tell you for sure.
That's an interesting conversation, because that's the
Yeah.
one thing that we can agree with, that FPPA is one of the reasons that I agreed to take this job and not stay in what I was doing. And so it's a big deal for my employees also.
But that's something that we could work out, Brian.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah, that's what I heard Brian making the point that if we choose, if we decide we're an FPPA organization, you know, if we're doing that, then we're paying Social Security on top under the county because we haven't opted out. So there's that additional cost and there's that additional benefit.
Well, there's the legal question of can we get some kind of a ruling that would allow us to not pay
To opt out.
to not pay the Social Security,
That'd
like
be worth
just like the
looking at.
fire authority's not doing today, yeah.
If you go to the defined benefit plan, which is what we're in, which is why we opt out of Social Security. That's worth pursuing across the board. To know what that looks like.
Well, I'm encouraged to hear that sounds like we're on the same page. Like, let's overturn all the rocks and see what it is. I mean, I think there's an opportunity. We may find something that it's actually better than what we thought. However, it may confirm we're on the right path. So I'm encouraged to hear that. And I'm encouraged to hear that we're not going to make hasty decisions with our staff. Because I mean, that we are, as an administrator, that's the scariest thing, because you're going to see people jump ship immediately. You tell me you have 6 months, they're gone. And you don't want to do that. So I think that's encouraging. And I'm encouraged to hear that we're gonna fight to, even if it's a short-term IGA, that at least there's a security that will do that, regardless of what the next situation comes in. So that's encouraging to hear.
I'm encouraged by the fact that we're meeting twice a week. I mean.
Come on.
Twice a month.
Twice, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can make all those.
We stay later, buddy.
Months of doing this to each other, we are like sort of starting to circle around something that we can put in writing.
May I say that has a rather negative connotation? Doing this to each other? Sorry.
Oh, no, you're right,
It's getting late there, ain't it?
So.
No, just punchy, sorry.
It's okay. Comes with the hour. Any other thoughts on the renewal of the IGA at this time?
I would love to write a letter
Okay,
if you all would like to consider signing a letter. All 5 of our jurisdictions would sign it.
we can put that on our agenda for next month, next week.
Who's the initial author before it circulates? I mean, when 5 different people write, it's obviously a train wreck, so.
I just offered to, but if somebody
I
else
would love
wants
to write a letter.
Oh, that's what, I took that as I would love for us to write letters. So, okay.
But if somebody else wants to write, I mean, I have plenty of things on my to-do list.
You're a great author.
I think that's a great, George, I think that's a great start.
Yeah.
And then you guys can beat it up.
Okay.
Okay,
Nicely.
all righty.
Are we done?
Okay, next steps. Future meeting schedule, we're still on twice a month.
So the 18th is the next one?
Yes.
Are you going to 3CMA?
Yeah.
So we're all scheduled. We didn't realize this when we set this last time, but we're all scheduled to be in.
Glenwood
Glenwood
Springs.
Right. Do we want to,
Andy, are you going also?
I think everybody in Idaho Springs was going to be there.
Yeah, so Andy's gonna be out also.
And so was Jonathan, so was Chuck, so.
So what date can we change
You
it
wanna
to?
change it to?
Yeah.
Anybody?
And we have
The
one more individual's
19th.
schedule.
Sorry, the 17th.
Week of the 22nd.
I think we have council on
23rd.
Selectmen.
that.
That's out. 24th.
We'll do the 23rd.
We can't.
Georgetown can't.
George can't.
That's why you guys.
24th?
We're on 24 now.
Sorry, that's my one.
What about the week earlier?
That's when we're in Glenwood Springs.
Oh,
Like next week?
2 weeks.
Oh, you mean next week? On it?
maybe the end of that week?
We're still going.
I'm gonna
will.
suggest. The BUN trial is starting next week. The court,
And
even if it's at night, I'm little concerned it might.
That's what my jury summons is about.
That is what you do.
Okay, yeah, it's tiny.
It's the blue line.
What about the
Okay.
24th? Good. Works for us.
The 24th, does that work for you, Lynette?
Yes.
That works for us.
Same time, same place, time, everything?
May or April?
The
24th?
of April?
Why are we doing another one in April?
Yeah, I get to see, but we're talking about.
Doing them twice a month.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were doing one, sorry.
So
Okay, the
it was
20
supposed to be the 18th.
24th is the blood drive. Good by then, I'm just letting.
When they can't do-
you know.
By 6.
25th?
Drain the room.
I think the blood drive is scheduled to go until 4 or 5.
We're discussing
Do
something.
it 6.
25th?
So it might be,
Twenty-fifth?
it might take a little bit to tear down though, FYI.
Okay, what did we come up with?
Okay.
We can't come the 24th. We're now
Okay.
discussing the 25th.
Okay, which is.
Oh, okay.
25th?
Thursday?
Okay,
Good.
We need to bring
Okay.
food to these things.
I will. We'll-
25th?
Is that good for everyone?
25th seems okay.
We'll do the invite. Okay, April 25th.
Okay.
Okay,
I can't come. I know you guys really need me, so.
keep us on track.
6 PM in this room.
Date on the,
Okay.
you're gonna change the date on the invite or cancel and resend?
6 PM in this room, April 25th.
We'll update it.
Okay,
Hey, Beth,
that,
me on that. I wasn't on the 18th.
I will, I've heard multiple requests for food. We'll try to have some kind of snack in this room. Next meeting.
thank
Was
you,
there-
thank you.
So,
Back there that had a comment?
Are you still interested in?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
do we want to maybe have our
Yes, run
facilitator,
screaming in the room, yeah.
have our facilitator has a couple thoughts for us?
I was gonna say, yes.
Won't keep you long. First thing I want to say is how impressive this group is. In terms of this discussion and coming into this about how you've engaged in the legal, the financial, the operational, sort of all of the data pieces and what I heard were some principles. This challenge associated with what's legally possible, realistic and implementable. how do you be responsive to the current and future needs of the county from both a fire and EMS perspective? A chance to look at that. Having a governance structure that's simple, that's efficient, that's understandable, that your voices that are heard and that you have an influence on the direction that moving forward, whether you talk about a steering committee or you talk about equitable representation. This idea about financial viability and lowering costs, that opportunity to do that, the assurances and the care that you have expressed about the folks who are working for you in terms of fire and EMS. And I love the framing about, getting, the working through these issues and working through each one of those topics, addressing those fears, building tolerance or building trust, and ensuring that in any kind of integration that responsiveness, particularly with EMS, doesn't suffer those patient outcomes. And that, I guess I am optimistic about how that this group, the topics that you can work through those. I've heard, I only heard positive things about you all and about today, and particularly about the care that you have for this issue. So I'd be happy to help to facilitate. And what I would suggest is doing outreach to you all, to the members, talking a little bit about that, building the agenda associated with it, and getting on with the problem solving associated with each of these pieces. And so, I guess I'm optimistic that, at least a conceptual framework for what you're doing isn't going to take you till November. And that I heard that the urgency associated with that, because uncertainty isn't positive for anybody in terms of that piece, whether you write a letter or not. And so, anyhow, if you'll have me, I'd be happy to work with you all, and just wanted to commend the meeting today and how you all engaged with each other as well. I thought I did a really nice job. So that's all I'll have to say. Thank you.
Which made me think of something. Nice job, Lynette.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good job.
Thank you.
Can I suggest that our next steps are to ask Jonathan what our next steps are for our next meeting?
I think that's a good idea.
Sure. Do you want to?
So my next steps, if just in the conceptual piece, would be that I would reach out to you. We would start to create a master list, and using these three alternatives, if you will, about those. I know there are pros and cons associated in the report. Really starting to work on some of those frame those thorny issues, whether it's about retirement, whether it's about capacity, of all of those topics. And hit them head on in terms of what are the principles, what are the criteria, how do you want to do this? And I think your opportunity, thinking of this as an opportunity versus something that's being done to you, as an opportunity to do that together. I think, I'm optimistic that you'll come up with something that really works for the county and maybe better. I get that there's a lot of steps along the way there. So my commitment to you would be that I'm not engaged in any one particular outcome. I care about you using your time well and getting something done. That would be infuriating to you all and to myself as well, if you just waste time. But I don't have any stake in any of the particular outcomes, but sort of really do want you to get to that outcome. And that's what I would do, is I'd help to push and cajole and make some jokes and so that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's what my next steps would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more last question before we disperse, while we've got the group together. Is there anything that we've talked about tonight that anybody is interested in and feels we need to do deeper dive into, further get data gathering, anything in particular? Just.
Oh, Andy's got his.
Yes, Sandy.
So, it's getting late, but, one thought that comes to my mind as we come to a close here is our success in the future is going to be based on the system that we develop and we nurture, countywide. We're never going to be able to afford all the firefighters we need, or maybe even all the paramedics we need. But
the success, our success is going to continue to be based on having people throughout the county who have training to start care, to start assessments, whether it be at Loveland, whether it be up in St. Mary's, and you've got a couple resident firefighters who have basic training to start CPR and have a viable patient when EMS gets there. I think, so I guess what I would encourage us to do is not, I know we're hyper focused on the fire authority, but remember that the bulk of the workload of the fire authority is EMS. And one or two paramedics with a critical patient or a critical rescue is not going to be able, they're not going to be successful without the team and without the firefighters there and without backcountry rescue. And that was clear in Aaron's presentation with all the many partners that were involved there. So I just would like to have us all think broadly here as we try to figure out what's in the best interest of the community with the fire authority, whatever governance we have. Funding is critical. We've got to have, a certain amount of minimum staffing for sure. But we're never going to be able to have the staff we need. Fires, we talked about, fires are only 3% of structure fires, only 3% of what the fire authority does, but they are high risk, low frequency. And when those hit, just like with some particular trauma patients, you need all hands on deck. And that's why I'm a big proponent of thinking about what system can we come up with? We can't be siloed. What system can we come up with that is going to help us have even more success with saves of homes, saves of patients? And let's think broadly, I guess, before we focus in on the solution. I think we're doing that. This was an excellent conversation tonight, but that would be just my parting thought here this evening after hearing a lot of good discussion. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Anybody else? Okay.
I think there's more conversation to be had about the report from the fire authority and the conversation that we had about, sort of alternative ways to solve some of the things that they highlighted. I think there's more conversation to be had there.
Okay.
Maybe that conversation can kind of shuttle between the fire authority and this group, the fire authority board. I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
Reevaluation of the study. Components of the study.
Yeah, just, hey, they identified a problem. That's how they said we would do it. Actually, we think we should do it like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing I might add.
Yeah.
Fire departments have evolved over the years, and they're really known as all hazard response agencies, emergency services. Fires nationally are actually declining. And yes, they can be devastating. And yes, they're very labor intensive when they happen, particularly big fires. But really, that's part of the challenge here, I think, is for the fire authority and fire departments in general, is they're expected to handle whatever's thrown their way. And that includes assisting EMS, but that includes the hazmat that was mentioned earlier. That includes backcountry rescue, which, that you've got all these different things there's a lot being asked of fire departments nowadays to handle all these other things. And when those structure fires do happen, you got to be, top performance, and you gotta handle the situation with often understaffing. So that's why I just want us to think about this very broadly as we go forward. I just wanted to mention that for everybody to be thinking about the all hazard approach to whatever drops in our county. We really need to think about it system wide.
Good point. Yep. Thank you. All right. Any other thoughts or comments tonight?
Chuck has his hand raised.
Okay. Yes, Chuck.
Hey, thank you. I just wanted to give a big shout out from Idaho Springs. I was sucking this in like a sponge tonight, and I just think that the reports tonight were incredible, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to put a lot of this information together. So, I mean, everybody from, Peter and Jeremy and Brian, of course, EMS, that was just outstanding effort. And I got a lot out of this tonight. I think all of us did. And, thank you, George, for writing that letter, and Lynette, excellent job facilitating. Thank everybody.
Thank you, Chuck. All right,
I just want to remind us who we're doing this for. Do we remember who we're doing this for?
our people.
Mrs. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
You can tell Brian.
Yep.
The example he kept using.
Oh.
You shared a phone with Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
We should really just ask Mary and Robert what they want.
All right, thanks, everybody.
I have one last really important thing to say.
Good night.
When you talked about that, when you pointed out those people and you looked at those people that had been saved by the paramedics, and you described that one guy as elderly, I was really offended.
Yeah, that was the takeaway.
He was actually.